This storm here that is coming out of northeastern Mississippi. Let's look at the velocity really quick, Evan. We'll take a look at a few of the parameters here. And we're watching this circulation right in through here along Interstate 22 that's off to the southeast of Fulton, Mississippi in Itawamba County. And we have seen this coming and going. It's been cycling. This did produce some storm damage back in the Tupelo area, and it seems like it's getting its act together again. So accordingly, we now have a tornado warning that is in effect for the northern part of Marion County. And let me just give you kind of a call to action here. And we understand we do have warnings to the north. We'll talk about that later. That's up in the Huntsville television market. But for those of you that are in this polygon, the first thing you need to do is respect the polygon. If you're in Hamilton, Hackleburg, Bear Creek, Scottsville, you need to go into a small room on the lowest floor near the center, away from windows. You're going to put on a helmet, a bicycle helmet, a batting helmet, a football helmet, a motorcycle helmet. That's for everybody, not just children. We don't want anybody in a mobile home. And this is where it's so hard. I know this is the second week in a row we've had this in the middle of the night on a Friday night. But if you live in a mobile home, a trailer, you can't stay there if you're in a polygon. You've got to go to a nearby community shelter, or if you don't have one nearby, a business that's open 24/7, whether it's a gas station, a truck stop, a restaurant, anything like that, that could offer shelter. So again, we don't want anybody in a mobile home, and we don't want anybody driving along Interstate 22, U.S. Highway 278, all these major highways up here in northern Marion County. So again, we have a tornado warning that is in effect now for Marion County, in the northern half of the county, until 3 a.m. We have Stephen Quinn, who is in the polygon. Stephen, you're in Hamilton. Tell us what it's like over there right now.
Well, I can tell you that the lightning has picked up significantly over the course of the last 20 minutes, James, as you take a look right now in the direction exactly where the center of that circulation is, about 20 miles beyond the point where we are standing now. And that lightning, as I mentioned, has been significant. We are also starting to hear those tornado sirens, as that polygon does include where we are here in Hamilton, the southern part of that polygon. We have seen police personnel that have been out tonight running what appear to be calls along with ambulances, so you know that those first responders are out there. As we listen to those sirens, we certainly hope that people are heeding the warnings right now. There is still time to get to those safe places, especially, as you mentioned, if you're in one of those manufactured homes. As you see that lightning right now, it is quiet. Wow, we just got a really big burst of lightning right there, showing you how conditions are starting to deteriorate. The wind is fairly calm right now. Obviously, we expect that to change here shortly. But so far it is quiet, and that is the good news. We have not seen a lot of cars driving around. Obviously, it's past 2 o'clock in the morning, but sometimes you do run into that in these situations. So that is good news right now. We're going to have this shot up, though, James, so we'll be able to see this line as it makes its way closer to the state line and where we are here in Hamilton.
All right, Stephen, thank you very much. That's Stephen Quinn, and again, he will be giving us some views of this storm as it comes into Marion County. So let's go back to reflectivity, Evan, and I want to show kind of a big picture and explain the other warnings in effect. Whenever we're live, we have other people that watch in different parts of the state. We have a tornado warning in effect now for parts of Franklin and Colbert counties right here. We have tornado warnings in effect also for parts of central and northeast Mississippi. But again, let's look at this one. This is the one that's north of Hamilton. This is a tornado warning for a fairly small part of Franklin and Colbert counties. And let's take a look at the velocity on this. And again, the rotation seems to have weakened over the past 5 to 10 minutes with this. That's very broad. So at this point, it looks like the tornado maybe has gone into occlusion and it's lifted. But still, again, that polygon stretches over here to Russellville, then back over toward Belgreen. This is Alabama Highway 24 right here. But again, that's up in the Huntsville television market. Just wanted to show that. In the storm up north, this one, Evan, up above the shoals up here, the circulation is weakened, and that is now a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for parts of Lauderdale. So the tornado warning for Florence and points north, that's been replaced by a severe thunderstorm warning. So let's go back down to our Marion County storm, and this is the one we'll focus on here. And again, you can see the storm of concern, the rotation of concern is right here, just north of Interstate 22, Nitawamba County, Mississippi, and that will be crossing the state line. That's the Alabama-Mississippi state line. Scottsville here, Hamilton right here. That's Interstate 22 right here. Most likely the circulation could stay a little north of Interstate 22, a little north of Hamilton, but still, if you're in that polygon, anywhere in there, you need to respect that and be in a safe place. And again, Hackleburg is right here, Bear Creek. These are some places that dealt with damage a week ago. And here we are on another Friday night, early Saturday morning with the same situation here. So at 2:02 a.m., a lot of folks are awakened now. Hopefully you have a weather radio in your home, and if you do, that will wake you. But understand, I just want to quickly remind everybody that with some of the legacy systems, you get a warning for an entire county, and we have not issued warnings for an entire county in years. So if you are down here in the southern part of Marion County, you don't need to do anything. Watch it, yes, but for the moment, you're not under a warning. That would include places like Winfield and Ewan. You are not in this polygon. This is for the northern part of Marion County. Brilliant, you're not in this. This is for Hamilton, Hackleburg, Bear Creek, Scottsville, and places like that. So again, we're watching this circulation right here. And let me just say, this system it's been rough today. Now, we don't expect the violent long track tornadoes like we saw yesterday in Arkansas and parts of Tennessee. These are most likely going to be shorter lived tornadoes. They could be strong. And listen, every tornado is dangerous. If it's an EF0, it's dangerous. So just understand that, but I don't think it will be like what happened in Little Rock or Wynne, Arkansas, where 2 people were killed yesterday. But still, these storms are dangerous, and if you are in a tornado warning polygon, you need to be in a safe place. So again, this is the one warning that is in our television market. To the north, we have severe thunderstorm warnings being issued by the Weather Service in Huntsville for parts of Colbert, Franklin, Lauderdale. That's the new warning. This is going to replace the tornado warning, by the way. So really up here in the Tennessee Valley, this tornado warning being replaced by a severe thunderstorm warning. So basically the one active tornado warning in the whole state right now is this one right here. And again, let's expand this out one more time, Evan. Let's look at what's happening back further to the south and west along this line. We've got a potential tornadic circulation near Houston, Mississippi. And if this holds together, that will be moving into Monroe County, Mississippi. This is Amory. Of course, Amory was hit so hard a week ago with major damage there. And if this thing holds together, that could wind up in Lamar County and maybe in Fayette County. And speaking of Fayette County, Dennis, do we have Megan on the line with us? Scorana. Okay, Megan, if you can, in Fayette County, just kind of give us a quick look at what you got there and what conditions are like now.
James, the newest update from us here in Fayette from about an hour ago is that we did see the first signs of rain tonight. Now, it wasn't too heavy, definitely below severe limits, but it did rain for about 5 minutes here just about a half hour ago now. And it could, of course, be a precursor to what's to come, and we could see these storms roll across the state line, like you just said. But for now, here in downtown Fayette, it's windy, but we really haven't seen anyone out tonight. Hopefully, people are at home and have multiple ways to get those alerts. They're up watching us and have their weather radios ready. But you know, when it does wind here, when it does get a little windy here, you can hear the flags roll against the poles. But other than that, it's still relatively calm, but that's not to say that it couldn't change or change quickly, like you said. And we're ready here to report any damages throughout the rest of the night. People here certainly hoping that it stays, you know, hopefully exactly like it is, just a windy night. But we'll stay updated with you, James, and be ready to respond to anything that you may see. James? All
right, thank you so much, Megan. Again, she is in Fayette, and we've got Stephen Quinn in Hamilton. Stephen, let's go back to Stephen. I understand that you probably got some pretty good lightning on the horizon right now.
You can, and what you are listening to now are the new sirens that are sounding off here in Hamilton, and the lightning is by far the most impressive, and what it also illuminates, James, are the clouds that are now moving, and you get a sense even here in the middle of the night just how quickly this storm is moving and approaching us. Should there be a tornado, I say should, you can see that the lightning will be able to illuminated to where hopefully you would be able to see something. It's so difficult often, as you know, and as we know, seeing these at nighttime to be able to see anything, especially if they're rain wrapped. But that lightning is giving us a good view of the clouds as they are moving through here. As I mentioned, the tornadoes the sirens, I should say, have been sounding here for the better part about 5 or 10 minutes. And we are starting to see some cars moving through. You hope that those are people that are driving to get to their safe space. Certainly they still have a little bit of time to do that, to heed those warnings effectively right now. It is still quiet. The wind is calm right now as we wait for those storms. The circulation, as best I can tell, James, from what I've seen from our maps, is about 15 to 20 miles in that direction where Bill Castle has our camera pointed right now, and that is where we're seeing lightning that is fairly consistent. I mean, about every 5 to 10 seconds you're seeing a flash of lightning there, just showing you just how brilliant the display is from the storm that is headed our way.
All right, Stephen, thank you. We'll check back in with you in just a moment. So the good news, the circulation has really broadened out here. I don't think we have a tornado down at the moment, but understand these are cyclic and it could ramp back up. So again, the news is very positive here in that we've got now very broad circulation that is crossing over into Alabama. It's sitting on the Alabama-Mississippi state line. And this broad circulation most likely will be passing north of Hamilton. But again, everybody in the polygon needs to stay sheltered. A lot of times people hear us say, the circulation has gotten broad and we don't think there's a tornado. No, you stay in that safe place until Evan X's this thing out, until the polygon goes away. And what the Weather Service will do, they'll watch the next several volume scans, and if it continues to look like that, they will cancel it. But again, clearly at the moment, we don't have a tornado down with this storm. We have broad rotation that is in the western part of Marion County. But again, do not change what you're doing. You need to stay sheltered in that safe place. And again, trust me, we've raised 2 boys. I know what it's like with kids, and you got to wake them up and you got to get them in a bathroom or a closet or a hall. I understand it's 2:09 a.m. It's the middle of the night, but it's the right thing to do. I often say this, life is a series of decisions, and you have to make good decisions, especially on a night like tonight. So we have heavy storms coming into the western part of Marion County with very broad circulation at this point. And again, the Weather Service is watching this, and if it continues to weaken, they'll cancel the warning. But for now, we still have a tornado warning in effect for the northern part of Marion County. Let's expand this thing out, Evan, and just kind of show a big view. And the good news, all of these tornado warnings to the north have been canceled. The warning has expired here for Colburn and Franklin. We have severe thunderstorm warnings in effect up here for parts of Lauderdale, Colbert, Lawrence counties, but not a tornado warning. We do have tornado warnings in parts of northeastern Mississippi for that storm near Houston, moving in the general direction of Amory, and that circulation is fairly broad. And again, we've got the reason we are here, it's the warning in effect for Marion County. So let's go back into Marion County. We'll take a live look at this. Again, the best case scenario is that this thing continues to weaken. So let's look at the velocity display. And that's not exactly a tornado signature here. This is very broad circulation that is well to the northwest of Hamilton. That broad circulation near Scottsville. And again, at the moment, so far so good, but we want you to stay sheltered. I know it's very inconvenient to do that. I understand that. But please just hang tight with us. And the minute that warning goes away, we'll let you know when you can get the kids back into bed and everybody can go back to sleep. And that's the other thing people ask us, do I need to stay up all night? When can I go to bed? Well, if you have a weather radio, you can go to bed anytime you want to, because that sucker will wake you up. Even if you are a very heavy sleeper, that thing is loud. So again, that's why we want everybody to have one. And phones are okay. They're important. They're an important part of the warning process, but at night getting notifications can be kind of tricky. I mean, a lot of people just sleep right through those things on a phone, but you will not sleep through one on a weather radio that's in your bedroom. So the warning is in effect technically until 3 a.m. for the northern part of Marion County, and there's no radar confirmation. Now, again, we had a pretty good debris signature here back off to the west. And Evan, you've heard of any damage over there in Tupelo looks like they might have been a little bit over there.
Yeah, it looks like they're just starting to come in and understand, this time of night, the damage reports are going to be slow. You have emergency managers that'll be out there looking over this, as well as, law enforcement. But we'll be, looking at that. Also have noted there's been a few hail reports with this storm going back into Mississippi. But overall, this is one of those events, and James said it very well. When we have these overnight events, they can spike up. They can, at times, show almost no signs of rotation, which the last about 3 scans here on the radar have shown a very poor, very broad shear overall with this system. But in addition to it, as Quinn showed, there's plenty of lightning as well, so these storms can ramp up, diminish quickly. I wanted to also show here, for those who are asking, hey, what about the rest of the DMA here? And I'm going to pull up the watch and warning map to give you an idea of who's included in the current watch that we have now. We have Fayette, Lamar, Marion, Winston, Walker, and Cullman County. Those are our central Alabama counties that are included within the tornado watch as it stands now. That goes until 7 a.m. It's not to say that we will have those conditions up until then, but as of now, we have the threat for tornadic activity or tornadoes within storms until 7 o'clock in the morning. The only active tornado warning is the one that's up in Marion County, including the Hamilton area where we've talked with Stephen Quinn. And if you see different colored polygons up at all tonight, if they have a pink outline, that means it's confirmed, either by radar with a tornado debris signature or a trained spotter on the ground. And right now we don't have any of those. We do have a couple of those warnings. Let's look at that storm that's over now in central Mississippi here, Oklahoma south to Houston. What we may see trend-wise moving forward here is these storms cutting off storms to the north as we move forward. We've seen this happen before in scenarios where you have that initial tornado warning and then storms to the south they intensify, and over time what that'll do is cut off the inflow. So we'll keep an eye on that one that's near Houston, Mississippi, as that could really weaken those storms to the north. But diving back into this one and looking at the velocity product here, I'll switch over to that. It looks like we have a new scan in right near the Bexar areas where that rotation was the strongest at one point, but really just not seeing much. Still have a lot of lightning strikes, 70 lightning strikes in the last 10 minutes. That's still pretty significant. So there's more to just a tornado threat with this storm. We can have some active, strong winds with this as well, and it's certainly going to keep you up. But as James mentioned, you have a weather radio. I've yet to be able to sleep through when that thing goes off. I could be upstairs, I could be downstairs, doesn't matter. You hear that go off, and it's going to get your attention. So as long as you have ways to be weather aware tonight, you're in good hands. I'm going to check back with the National Weather Service here, see if there's any reports back in Mississippi.
Yeah, I've been watching the chat, Evan, and it looks like things are kind of quiet right now, which is a good thing. And again, we hope it stays quiet. So again, the Weather Service is maintaining this warning for now. And again, there's a lot of people watching us on their phone, huddled up in a safe place, and in places like Hackleburg and Hamilton and Bear Creek. And we understand that the minute we'll give you an all clear, we'll give you an all clear, but we can't do that yet. This flashing red, that is the tornado warning polygon. And again, we stress, if you're in the southern part of Marion County, Winfield or Guin, you're not involved in this. You don't need to do anything. Watch it, yes, but there's no need to do any action at this point. And also, again, obviously, we don't want folks driving along Interstate 22. This I-22 right here, running over to Mississippi. This is U.S. Highway 278 right here that goes back over toward Winston County. And of course, the good thing about this, it's 2:15 on a Saturday morning, and a lot of folks are driving. But if you are on the road, and if you're hearing us, whether it's on your phone or through a radio station, we don't want anybody driving into a tornado warning polygon. That is the worst possible place to be as a car. Second worst place to be is a mobile home. And again, for those that have gone to a community shelter, a lot of folks are watching us in those shelters, and we thank you for responding. Alabamians have gotten very good about responding, even when it's inconvenient like this. But again, just hang with us and we'll watch this. But the reason that the warning was issued, it was this segment of the storm right here where there was a tight circulation, and at one point we had debris being lofted. There was a tornado down, but the TDS has gone away, the debris signature, and the circulation is really, really broad in through here. Let's go back to Quinn's camera if we can. We'll just kind of take it, and Bill Castle is showing you the sky that is up in Hamilton, looking back into the storm, looking back to the west-northwest. The lightning is almost constant. And again, the one thing we cannot do is show, and again, there's no tornado now, But if it ramps back up and if we see a tornado signature, we just can't show it to you visually. And we've learned through social science studies that people will respond better if we can show you a live video stream of a tornado, whether it's a dash cam or a camera like Bill's here. But they're going to be rain wrapped tonight if we have tornadoes. And we just can't see them. And you'd have to hope that lightning would illuminate some feature, but even that's very iffy. So that's just almost impossible to do. So you'll have to trust us when it comes to describing these radar signatures and the proper response in a situation like that. But again, that is live coming from Hamilton in Marion County, looking back into the line segment, and they are in the polygon where Bill Castle and Stephen Quinn are located. But these two guys are good. Bill's been doing this with me for a long, long time, and Stephen is an excellent, for a journalist, he knows weather, and he's good, and they're going to stay safe. So let's go back to the radar. It's 2:17 a.m., the insane hour. And by the way, this is April 1. Welcome to the month of April. And we've got very broad rotation. Dennis is saying April Fools. Very broad rotation here that's over Marion County. Let's pop the reflectivity back on, Evan. And again, it's just pouring here. And again, 81 lightning strikes here in the past 10 minutes in this particular view. And the line of storms running from Franklin County, Hodges down into Marion County to the Mississippi state line north and west of Hamilton. And again, at the moment, the circulation is very, very broad. And let's expand it out real quick, and just wanted to show you that this is the only tornado warning in the whole state right now. We have severe thunderstorm warnings in effect now for parts of Lawrence, Colbert, Franklin, Lauderdale, and Limestone counties up and through here, but there's no tornado circulation here. And quite frankly, there's no tornado circulation here. It has gone away for now, but the Weather Service is maintaining the tornado warning in case it ramps up. The last thing you want to do is cancel a warning and then reissue it just minutes later if it does cycle back up. So that's the right thing to do, is to stay with it. And they are continuing the warning for now, and we'll see how long they do that. We're also watching this segment back in Mississippi around Houston, back over toward Aberdeen and Amory. That circulation is broad as well, and we're hoping that with time, the tornado threat will continue to fade as the better dynamic forcing passes to the north and the air stabilizes a bit here during the early morning hours. This is when the air tends to be most stable. So let's go back into the storm here that we've got over Marion County, and this is the only tornado warning, the only one we have in our part of Alabama. So let's look at our velocity display, which tells the story. And goodness, I think back in how did we do this before we had Doppler processing? These next-rad Doppler radars came online back in the mid-1990s. It was like going from being blind to be able to see with the wind we can display here. Just imagine if all we had was reflectivity, we could not do this. But obviously, we have just very broad circulation, and there's no evidence of a tornado at the moment. But based on the concept that this might ramp back up, the tornado warning continues for now in effect until 3 a.m. To get your bearings straight, this is Hamilton right here. Hamilton is on the far, far, far southern edge of this polygon. And again, the circulation should be a little bit tighter right in through here. And again, it could be ramping back up. And again, that circulation is going to be crossing US 43, which is right here. This is 43 coming out of Hamilton. Hackleburg is here, goes up to Russellville, which is right up in through here. And again, Bear Creek is here. We had tornado damage at Bear Creek last week, a week ago, and we had a lot of straight line wind damage in parts of Marion County as well. So again, we're watching this little segment right here to see if it kind of ramps back up. Let's go back to Bill's camera, live from Hamilton, looking north into the storm segment. And Dennis, has Stephen got his audio turned on? Can we talk to him? Stephen, tell us what's going on up there.
James, I can hear you.
Go.
Yeah, I don't know if it was an outflow boundary or what it was, but we just got a pretty strong gust of wind. Bill was trying to show you some of the dust and dirt, just to give you a sense of how strong the gust we just got was. In short, the winds are starting to pick up, which goes along with the lightning, which, as you mentioned earlier, has been pretty much constant right now. I mean, this is an amazing light display as we're getting that wind starting to pick up. And based off what we've seen on the reflectivity, James, it looks like that line is now 5 miles or less from where we are in downtown Hamilton right now, as you see the lightning illuminating the storm as it makes its way closer. The wind is picking up, and I mentioned we did see some traffic earlier that had picked up along the roads, and as I mentioned before, you hope that is people getting to their shelters, because now there's just about a few minutes left before this storm makes its way through here. And even if there's not a tornado, it's certainly something that you don't want to be caught in. We've seen numerous instances of trees coming down and what that can do. It was just a week ago where we had a report of at least one person that was driving along these roads that got trapped driving through here because trees can fall down, and it doesn't need to be a tornado to be a dangerous and potentially deadly situation. So you have about 5 minutes left before that arrives to where we are right now. And with the benefit of lightning, you can kind of see the line making its way here. It should not be much longer before we're getting the heavy wind and the significant rain associated with that line coming through here, James.
All right, Stephen, we'll check back with you in just a second here. Again, this is the velocity display here coming off the Columbus Air Force Base radar. And again, you can see evidence of the circulation here. This is passing north of Hamilton. Again, Stephen's camera location is right here looking back into this. And we'll see if this thing tightens back up. And again, the Weather Service has decided to leave this in effect, the tornado warning polygon. So again, Bear Creek, Hackleburg, down to Hamilton, you are in the polygon. Scottsville, you are now out. That circulation is well to the east of you. And I think we can give an all clear now to Interstate 22. If you need to drive along Interstate 22, go for it. This broad circulation is now well to the northeast of Interstate 22 moving away. We do not want anybody on US 43 between Hamilton and Hackleburg over the next 15 minutes. Again, that's probably the main north-south highway through the county here. And again, that would not be a particularly good idea at this point. So we're watching this broad area of rotation that's right here. Just for the fun of it, let's look at the CC to see if we have any lowering here. And we really don't. That's all noise. Nope. So let's go back to reflectivity. And again, it's pouring rain here. 91 lightning strikes. The lightning is almost continuous. And this line is sagging to the south and east. And this is the only tornado warning polygon in the entire state at this point, which is a good thing. And again, this whole line is going to be dropping to the south. And let's expand it out one more time, Evan, to show the extent of the line. It runs from near Ardmore, Elkmont up here on the Tennessee state line down to about Moulton, Russellville, just north and west of Hamilton, then back into Mississippi. And again, some strong storms approaching Amory. Just for the fun of it, let's take a look at this and let's take a look at the velocity over here and see what's happening. This is a storm complex coming into Monroe County, Mississippi. And let's see what this looks like. And yeah, it's fairly broad. The last several scans, and the one thing we've learned in the weather business, you want to have at least two different radar displays in case you've got some pixels displaced or something going on here. And I'm watching different radar displays, and this whole segment has looked pretty noisy here for the past 10 to 15 minutes and very broad. And hopefully this warning will not be extended into Amory. And again, Amory was hit awfully hard, as you know, last week, which is here. And of course, if this thing holds together, of course, the line is going to affect everybody. Everybody's going to deal with the line of storms. We're talking tornadic circulation. That looks awfully noisy here. So let's go back up to Marion County. And again, we are here at 224, not because we're throwing a party. Ivan, we're not throwing a party, are we?
I don't think so.
It's an all-night weather party. How about that?
Yes.
We're here because of the chance of severe weather. And again, we're watching this spot right in through here. This is north of Hamilton, where we have evidence of circulation. And the Weather Service, based on that spot, is going to keep the tornado warning polygon going. And it's clear that this is passing north of Hamilton by about 6 or 7 miles up and through here. It's about to cross over US 43. And most likely this circulation will be passing between Hamilton and Hackleburg. It's going to be closer to Hackleburg and then coming out in the general direction of Bear Creek. And again, we had some pretty meaningful damage from a short-lived tornado up here a week ago. And from there, we'll see what happens. Of course, over here, you've got Haleyville. Haleyville is right here in Winston County. So if you're in Winston, just kind of keep an eye on this. Everybody needs to kind of keep an eye on things. But again, like Evan and I were talking about, if you got a weather radio, you don't need to do that. Just go to sleep. And if there's a warning, trust me, you'll wake up. You will certainly get that. So 2:25, the warning is scheduled to run until 3 a.m., 3 o'clock this morning for the northern part of Marion County, not the southern part. Again, if you're in Winfield or Guin, you're not involved in this. You don't need to do anything. This is for the northern part of Marion County. And Well, Evan, it just looks like it's trying. These things have been trying, but it's just not quite got its act together at the moment.
Yeah, trying hard, and following this, we've been watching this since back into Mississippi, James, and they've cycled up, then they've disappeared, cycled up, disappeared, and for the last several radar scans, at least a dozen radar scans, this one's not really shown any signs of spinning up or that there could be rotation within the system. As for damage updates, James, you'd asked earlier, looking back, this has to do with the southern storm. So if I zoom back out here, the one that was for the Houston area, there was a damage report at about 2:15, and that was for some roof damage. That was over near Plantersville, Mississippi. That's in Lee County. No reports with that northern storm that we're currently watching in Marion County, but the storm damage back in Plantersville, Mississippi, some roof damage observed there by law enforcement. But so far, it's been all quiet on the damage front, which you'd expect at this time of night, morning, however you want to quantify 2:37 in the morning. If that's still night for you, great. If that's early morning, then that's early morning. But one thing I have noticed is they have trended back with that storm in Mississippi to a severe thunderstorm warning, likely because that rotation has become far more broad here. All right, let's do like a quick reset. James had good coverage on that tornado warning. This is a look at the big picture. If you're down in Birmingham, if you're in Tuscaloosa, if you're in Anniston, you're in Gadsden, Aliceville, Demopolis, Centerville, you're probably like, what on earth are you doing on the air? Well, we've got one small corner of the DMA that is under that tornado warning, right? That's the Hamilton area. That's actually really north of Hamilton, but where that polygon is. Everywhere else, we are looking okay as of now. If you're curious, if you're under that watch or warning, here's a look at the active watches and warning. This tornado watch includes Lamar, Walker, Fayette, Marion, Winston, and Cullman counties. Now, effectively, that'll go until 7 o'clock Saturday morning. So for another several hours here, as that line moves very, very slowly, it seems, into our westernmost counties. But that is all that is active as of now. Switch back to reflectivity so you can see here. And overall, this line is going to move in a general southeasterly direction as we move forward. And the reason we are here is this tornado warning up in Marion County. So we'll zoom back in there. We probably have a new radar scan to take a look inside this. I'll go back to our velocity product, and we'll see if anything more promising's come in. And you can see where they've trimmed down that polygon now. So let's see who we can...
And let's mention, Evan, Hamilton is out of the polygon. Okay. So we'd like to give people an all clear. So again, if you're in the city of Hamilton, you are now clearly out of the polygon. The circulation is on US 43 south of Hackleburg. So Hamilton, go back to bed. You're good. The warning has expired. The circulation is on US 43 about 5 miles southwest of Hackleburg here. And again, that'll be moving in the direction of Bear Creek, which is right over here. That's Alabama Highway 13 right here. So let's go back to Stephen Quinn, who is in Hamilton. And Stephen, you got the line of storms getting close, but that rotation is pretty far north of you now. What's the conditions like there now?
Yes, that is good news and a welcome announcement to people here. We are just now starting to get the first few drops of rain where we are. And as I say that, we get one more gust of wind over here. So certainly it appears that the rain that is associated with this is about to start, and we're about to see what this front can bring. And what we know so far from what it's done is that it's going to pack some heavy winds. We've been trying to keep an eye out, James, for a little bit here as we look due north. You could see with the benefit of lightning that line as it moved through. We no longer can see it. It's passed through these trees here as it continues to move, and as I'm talking right now, we're seeing that wind start to pick up. You can actually hear it, and that lets you know kind of what you're dealing with at the moment. But the rain is starting to pick up as well. So here in a moment, if we stay with us, we're going to start to really see what this line can bring. But again, as you said, this is just heavy wind and rain. The circulation is well to our north, and that is certainly good news because this is an area that did get some damage from wind associated with that storm that ended up causing a tornado to hit over in Bear Creek. As you see the rain picking up, coming down in sheets simply because of the wind that is coming with this as it starts making its way through here, James.
All right, Stephen, thank you. So again, we have circulation that is in Marion County right here, and it's now east of US 43. It's going to pass just south of Hackleburg. And again, from there, it's going to be moving in the direction of Bear Creek. And again, Haleyville in Winston County is located right here. But again, we still want you to be sheltered. I know it's not fun. But again, these are some of the approximate arrival times of the circulation. And again, don't wait until the last minute. Whatever you do, don't go out and look for it. I know there's always some boneheads that want to do that, but listen, if there's a tornado there, you won't see it. Number one, it's dark. Number two, it's rain wrapped. Number three, there's a lot of trees and hills around here. You just can't see anything. So that makes no sense whatsoever. So just stay sheltered. And again, we'll give you an all clear as the polygon continues to be adjusted here. But again, Hamilton, we're giving you an all clear. US 278, you're good to go. You can drive on US 278. You can drive along Interstate 22. Those roads are fine. And really on US 43, you can drive now. The circulation is now east of US 43. Again, the circulation is passing just south of Hackleburg, and again, coming back over here toward Bear Creek. Stay sheltered. I know you went through this same drill a week ago, but you should be good at it by now, and this is nothing unusual for us. This is the 1st of April. Historically in this state, we have wild weather the first week of April. It can be anything from a major snowstorm to a catastrophic flood to tornadoes. And goodness, there comes the rain, Stephen Quinn. Wow, what a difference 1 minute makes. Goodness.
It doesn't take long, does it, James? I mean, it is coming down. This is what you call a gully washer. It is pretty strong, and the winds really make it seem even worse than it is. As you see, this parking lot gives us a good advantage here to show you just how widespread and how quickly the wind can really get this rain going right now. And as you mentioned, it took 30 seconds for this to get started, and it is pouring right now where we are in Hamilton.
All right, Stephen, again, thank you. So that's what it looks like when the line comes through. And again, they are safe down here. They're in Hamilton. Again, the Hamilton is right down there. The broad circulation is right here, just south of Hackleburg. So again, Hackleburg to Bear Creek, down to Bryn, you want to stay sheltered. And if you're in Winston County, just kind of keep an eye on this. And this is the only tornado warning. In fact, let's broaden this thing out again, Evan, and show the reflectivity and look at the whole line. And we have severe thunderstorm warnings in effect now for parts of Limestone, Lauderdale, Colbert, Lawrence, Franklin, Monroe County, Mississippi. But no tornado warnings, none, except for that one that's put us on the air here, that one tornado warning in effect for the northeastern part of Marion County. And understand it, and let me just say this too, while we're looking at this, if you're in Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, Anniston, Gadsden, these bigger population centers, the chance of severe weather is low, not zero, but low. When these storms approach those larger cities later this morning, 4 or 5 o'clock, they will be rapidly weakening, and the chance of severe weather is very minimal at this point. So that's good news. So again, Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, Anniston, Gadsden, most likely you probably won't have any severe weather. The greatest concern, we've talked about this all night, it's up here in this northwestern part of the state where we have the better combination of instability and dynamic support. But the good news, over the next couple of hours, the main dynamic support will be lifting north. The upper winds needed for severe storms will be lifting north of the state, and that should result in a weakening trend, and the air becomes pretty stable toward 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. And we hope the weakening trend continues. And there's no doubt there's been weakening over the past 15 to 30 minutes. Again, all those tornado warnings we had earlier, they've gone away except for this one. So let's go back and take a look at it. We'll go back in and focus on the velocity that will kind of tell the story. And we're going to be looking right about here, just south of Hackleburg. Again, Hackleburg proper, the high school, the center of town is right there where you see the word Hackleburg. And again, that circulation is maybe 2-3 miles just south of Hackleburg, moving northeast. Any damage reports, Evan? Any news from you over there?
No, not here. The only damage report I had was that storm to the south that was back in central Mississippi. Nothing has come in since then, which is a good thing. Keep in mind, at this time of night, it's not easy to find, one. And two, there's not a lot of people out there. So we may see that in the future. But the fact that there's not consistent damage reports coming in from anyone EMA, any local law enforcement, that is certainly good news. As it stands now, this has been very broad rotation for the last several scans we've had here. When you have those gates, the green and the red, when you see a much tighter coupling when they're very close together. We like green and red for Christmas, not on your velocity product. You don't want to see that. But it's been fairly broad for the most part. This is now moving towards the Winston County line. And right now, there's no tornado warning for Winston County, for anywhere in Winston County. And areas that are in the clear, if you live near Bethany Baptist Church, you're in the clear. Pleasant Ridge in the clear. As James mentioned, Hamilton is currently in the clear. Up next is going to be the Bear Creek area, and that's what we're going to keep an eye on. If they were to extend this, areas involved in this would be Haleyville. That'd be the biggest area added to the current polygon. But the National Weather Service is going to let this one ride out. It looks like a Birmingham because it has. Going back to when this was in Mississippi, it flared up very quickly. This is the same storm that was just to the east of Tupelo, did have a tornado debris signature on it at one point. There's the latest scan, and that actually looks much better as far as that gate-to-gate shear there coming up on, I believe that's Tesner, just to the southeast of Hackleburg. In fact, let's see how close this is to Hackleburg. This is moving away, but the center of this about 3 miles southeast of the Hackleburg area, where we've just started to see a bit of an increase there in that gate-to-gate shear. So again, this might be going through one of its strengthening cycles as it stands now. Show that right there. So coming up between Goddard and Bear Creek, that needs to be the heads up here. I believe this is Highway 13 or State Route 13 there. This is headed in that general direction, and we've seen this flare up and in a matter of minutes wind back down. But no recent damage reports with this as it stands now. Switch over to the CC just to see if there's nothing of measure with this. But if I had to guess, if there's solid circulation with this, it'd be right in here. Draw that for you in just a second. This is where we'd be looking at. And the best way to tell is when you see those brighter greens, brighter reds touching. That's amateur radar work there. If you're looking at home and you have a radar product that is good at following this, that's what you don't want to see is that gate to gate. And this is getting a little higher up in the atmosphere now because we are moving away from the Columbus, Mississippi radar. Still have a pretty decent view of this, but that gate to gate shear showing up there. This is about 3.5, 4 miles to the southeast of Hackleburg as it stands now. No reports with this at this time. I'll go back to the reflectivity because it is a loud night out there, but this is why you don't want to look for that. See, when I switch over to reflectivity, there is no chance at all of seeing this. This is well behind that line of rain within this line. So we'll be following this closely. Let's see here if we get a new radar scan of this shear in here. And this is the one warning we've had pretty consistently. There's not been any other warnings in our DMA. A couple severe thunderstorm warnings to the north, but that's it. And I can zoom out just to give you an idea of what we are looking at here, big picture. There's a severe thunderstorm polygon that's it's well to the north of here. That's for Lawrence as well as Franklin, Colbert counties. This is the lone warning we have here in central Alabama. There's another line of storms coming out of Mississippi that we will keep an eye on here.
Let's go to correlation coefficient. Let's look and see if we have a TDS on this thing, Evan. We're going to, I think now we've got a lowering right here. So now we have a confirmed tornado. So this is now a confirmed tornado. The circulation is tightened back up. About 5 miles southeast of downtown Hackleburg, and that's coming right toward Bear Creek, almost the same path as last week. So again, if you're in Bear Creek, you got to be sheltered. We now have a confirmed tornado. This is debris that is being lofted. What you're seeing here, this is not a hydrometeor. This is not some type of precipitation. This would be tree limbs or tree branches being lofted. And again, that tornado is coming right over here toward Bear Creek. That's Alabama 13. So again, if you're in downtown Hackleburg, we can give you an all clear as this is now well to the southeast of you moving away towards the northeast, but Bear Creek is the next concern here. So everybody nobody should be driving along Highway 13. But again, for those of you near Phillips High School around Bear Creek, you've got to be sheltered, okay? And again, in a site-built home, it's a small bathroom, closet, hall, lowest floor, near the center of the house, away from windows, and you're wearing a helmet. Okay, a bicycle helmet is perfect. If you play sports, a batting helmet, a football helmet, a motorcycle helmet. And this is not just for children, this is for adults, this is for everybody. Most people that are seriously injured in tornadoes, it's blunt force trauma above the shoulders. And that greatly mitigates your chance of being seriously injured or killed in a tornado. So helmet, safe place. No trailers, no mobile homes, and I know that is a challenge for all of us. It's easy for me to say that. And you are in a mobile home and you've got to drive to a shelter or drive to some business that's open. But again, it's critical that you do that. And hopefully you did that 30 minutes ago. This warning has been in effect since about 2 o'clock. You've had 40 minutes to get to that safe place. So again, right here, this is your tornado that is down about 6 miles east-southeast of Hackleburg. Again, Hackleburg will give you an all clear. And again, that's coming right up on Bear Creek. So again, this is an urgent call. This is the most significant signature we have seen during this whole event. This thing got very broad, now it's very tight, and it's down again. So a tornado is down. And again, understand that this is coming up on the community of Bear Creek. And of course, if this continues, this might clip the extreme northwestern corner of Winston County, moving up into Lawrence County, which is right here. And again, we do have a tornado warning that has been issued by the National Weather Service in Huntsville. This is for parts of Franklin and Lawrence County for this TDS right here. And again, you can see this is Franklin and this is Lawrence right here. The tornado is right here. That spot right there is going to be coming up right through here, kind of clipping this southeastern corner of Franklin County, coming up into Lawrence County. So again, just be aware of that. We have a tornado warning in effect now for extreme northeastern Marion, extreme southeastern Franklin, and the southern part of Lawrence counties in North Alabama. So again, that is a confirmed tornado right here. And again, the other thing we don't want you to do is to drive. The two worst places to be during a tornado, it's a car or a mobile home. And the main road right here, this is Alabama Highway 13. Phil Campbell here runs down through Bear Creek down to Haleyville. And a lot of people use Highway 13. That's a very well-traveled road. So again, we don't want anybody along Highway 13. And Stephen, yes, in answer to your question, you just texted me. The answer is yes on that. And again, we've also got Megan Scarano, who is farther to the south. She is down in Fayette County. We'll go to her shot there very quickly. And again, they're going to have that line of storms coming in shortly. Let's go back to Bill's camera really quick. And again, this is a look at what's happening in Haleyville. You've just got rain. Hamilton, you're out of the polygon. So if you're in Hamilton, pouring rain, but you're not in the polygon. So let's go back to the radar. And again, we have a confirmed tornado right here. This is a TDS, a tornado debris signature that is pretty much right on top of Bear Creek. And from Bear Creek, that will be moving into the southeastern corner of Franklin County. The polygon does not include Phil Campbell. And again, we had that horrific EF5 that affected Hackleburg and Phil Campbell in 2011. This is on a path south of there. This tornado passed south of Hackleburg. It's going to pass well south of Phil Campbell. It'll be clipping this corner of Franklin County around Posey Mill, then curving up into Lawrence County, moving up in the general direction of Moulton if it holds together. But again, that's a very, very dangerous storm right here that's right on top of Bear Creek. And you've got to take this seriously. And I know we cannot show you this tornado. Even if I had 8 cameras looking right at this thing, it's rain-wrapped, it's at night with all the hills and the trees, you can't see anything. But again, most likely that is a very significant tornado that is down right at Bear Creek. And again, you've got to stay sheltered. Hackleburg, again, you've got an all clear. Hamilton, you've had an all clear. And soon we'll be able to clear the county, but not yet. You've got to stay sheltered. So once again, this is a radar confirmed tornado. And what they're going to do is issue a tornado warning for the northwestern corner of Winston. All right, so again, Haleyville is here. There's your tornado. And the tornado, it's going to be passing north of Haleyville. I'll just tell you that. You're going to see a new tornado warning polygon pop up here. And notice the shades of pink. That is a radar confirmed tornado. And so this is your new warning for Winston. And again, this will include Ash Ridge and Haleyville. This is the tornado, and it's moving like that. But again, if you're in the polygon, respect the polygon. And you got to be sheltered, even though most likely this thing is going to be passing north of Haleyville. Haleyville, you're in the polygon. So we want you to go through your tornado plan. And again, the same thing and this is all north of U.S. Highway 278. Double Springs, you're not involved in this. This is a fairly small part of northwest Winston County. This has nothing to do with Double Springs, nothing to do with Lynn or Natural Bridge, those communities in the southern part of Winston County. This is the far northwestern part of Winston County. Evan has the tornado circle right here at Bear Creek. It's crossing Highway 13 right now. Very, very dangerous nighttime tornado. The only tornado in the whole state, thank goodness, but it's down. And again, debris is being lofted right here, lofted up to 10,000 feet, possibly higher. The tornado warning for Winston will be in effect until 3:45. We'll be able to cancel it sooner than that. And so it's kind of complex here because all these counties come together. This is Franklin, Lawrence, Winston, and Marion. tornado right here at Bear Creek moving towards the east-northeast that'll be clipping this corner of Winston County. And yes, it's going to pass north of Haleyville, but again, just as a course of least regret. You're in that polygon, you're going to be sheltered. And again, in a site-built house, we're asking people to be in a small room, lowest floor. You don't have to be underground. You do not have to be underground. Survivability, it's amazing in a site-built structure. I'm telling you, you don't have to be underground. Small room, bathroom, hall, closet, lowest floor, near the center of the house. As many walls between you and the outside as you can. No windows, and you're wearing a helmet, okay? And if you're in a mobile home, you've got to be out. You've got to be in a community shelter or some type of business that's open 24/7. Hopefully it's something you thought about earlier today. That's the one thing we recommend that people do. The good news, Evan, it looks like the CC drop is not as intense in the last volume scan here. It's still there, and we've got debris that's being lofted. Let's look at the velocity real quick. And again, it's right here. So again, we've got the velocity couplet. We've still got the lowered CC, but it looks like, Evan, it's not quite as intense as it was.
Not as intense. In fact, I'm going to take this back just a couple of minutes to show the evolution of this and how you can tell the difference. Look when it's right there, about to be over, and then on top of Tesner there, just to the southeast of Hackleburg, where you see those brighter greens and reds. This is when I was talking earlier, and it looked like it was starting to flare up. Moments later, we had that correlation coefficient show up, and that's why we stay with these things. Is even we look at the scan, and James and I could probably sit if we were off camera and be like, oh, there's nothing there for a good 10 minutes. But then they come back up very quickly, and that's exactly what this did. This may have had a path of about 5 to 8 miles where it showed a good signature here over the last 5, 10, 15 minutes. But that is now just to the east of Bear Creek, and the rotation with this not quite as strong as it was just 5 minutes ago, but it is still there. And what these will do is they'll cycle. They'll touch down. They'll weaken, they'll go back up, but the parent storm is still rotating. So you'll get these intermittent touchdowns with this. And that's why we're saying if you're in northern Winston County here to be aware, as this is a confirmed tornado. We noted earlier that we see the flashing red polygons, or you will on your screen at home. That's a tornado warning. When it flashes this pink or this purple, however you want to call it, that's when we know it's confirmed. And we saw that tornado debris signature the last couple of scans. I'm going to go back to that now. This is our correlation coefficient product, and essentially what it shows is things that should not be there, thrown into the atmosphere. There's a new radar scan there just coming in, and the area in question here is coming up on Donaldson Mill. That would be next up there. You've got looks like County Road 54 is up there. Center, Littleville, just to the north of New Place. That's where we're showing that best debris signature. Not as intense as it was the last couple of scans here, but still a very serious tornado. It doesn't matter, the strength or intensity. Once you start to see debris that shouldn't be there lofted, it's a strong storm.
Let's look at WEX 05. We can do that for just a minute. Dennis wanted to show some video. This is coming in from Winston County, really close to Bear Creek, and again, that's looking back into that storm. And again, this is a great example of why you just can't see much. It's kind of like Bill Castle and Stephen Quinn shot. You're going to see a lot of lightning, but this is near the Winston-Marion County line, looking back over toward Bear Creek. In fact, this person, I believe, is just a couple of miles away from Bear Creek, very close to the tornado. And again, that's what you're going to, like I say, there's no need to go outside because that's what you're going to see. You're going to see a lot of lightning, but you just can't see anything back in through there. And again, there's a good chance there's a tornado down very close to this particular location, but we just can't see anything. So let's go back to the radar here. And again, you see the lowering of the correlation coefficient product here, the debris tracker, and that's debris that's being lofted. And again, for Bear Creek, we can give you an all clear. So again, Bear Creek, all clear. This thing is right on the Winston-Marion County line. And again, it's going to be passing north of Haleyville. Haleyville is right here, tornado here. This is moving towards the east-northeast. And again, the community of Littleville right here, Martintown right here. This is all in Winston County, the northwest corner of Winston County. And from there, it's most likely going to wind up in Lawrence County. And again, if you're in Franklin, I think this will pass to the south of you. The Weather Service in Huntsville issuing that small segment in Franklin County. But again, it's pretty clear this is going to be passing on down to the south of there in northwestern Winston before getting up into Lawrence. And again, the new volume scan, and again, this is getting broad, and or the correlation coefficient drop is not as intense. Let's look at the velocity. And again, this will tell another story. We have a suite of products. And again, there's your couplet right here. This is passing about 6 to 7 miles due north of downtown Haleyville. And again, Haleyville, I know you're in the polygon. We'll give you an all clear in a matter of minutes. And that circulation is going to be ultimately coming out here, passing north of Ash Ridge. Ash Ridge is right here. All of this is far, far north of Double Springs. I want to stress, if you're in Double Springs, you've got no problems here. Double Springs is down here. US 278 is down here. Tornadic circulation here, moving like that. And again, that'll be clipping the southern part of Lawrence County. And most likely, this is going to stay south of Moulton. Moulton up here is the county seat of Lawrence County. But again, you can see that just very small polygon for the extreme northern part of Winston County. The community of Moreland right here is in the polygon, but this is north of Double Springs. So again, circulation right here moving towards the east-northeast. All right, and again, we've got tornado warnings in effect for northern Winston, southern Lawrence. And we can give Marion County an all clear. All of Marion County, all clear. I know that technically you're seeing the pink box here flashing, but the storm is out of the county. So again, Marion County, you are good at this point. And let's go back to our debris tracker, the correlation coefficient product. And again, we'll watch for the lowering, which is going to be right here. It looked really intense about 10 minutes ago. And it's getting noisier, and hopefully it just goes away. And again, like we've talked about with time, these storms will be weakening this morning as the dynamic support, the wind energy you need for tornadoes, begins to lift away from the deep south and moves up toward the Great Lakes, and the air becomes a bit more stable. New volume scan, and again, there's a bit of a lowering right here. Let's look at the velocity on the new volume scan, see what that looks like. And again, the circulation is clearly getting pretty broad in through here. But still, be sheltered, okay? And again, Marion County, all clear. You're good. The circulation is here. And again, Haleyville, give me about 2 minutes. We'll give you an all clear. 2 minutes, just hang tight. We'll give you an all clear in just a second. And from here, it most likely will be hugging the county line between Lawrence County and Winston County. And again, Ash Ridge is here. Moulton is way up here. Moulton's not in this polygon at this point. And again, if it holds together, it's going to stay south of Moulton. And we'll just see. We're not expecting long track tornadoes at this hour of the day, even with these circumstances. Yes, at one point we had the possibility of strong tornadoes. That's EF2 or higher by definition. But now with the dynamics beginning to lift away, the instability values steady or lowering, I think that really eliminates the chance of that. So tornadoes that form most likely would be short-lived this morning and not the violent long track tornadoes like we saw in Arkansas yesterday. We had loss of life in Wynne, Arkansas. 2 people died there. We had severe damage in parts of West and North Little Rock. Parts of Tennessee had some major damage. It's been a pretty rough ride here. And again, we've just got this one spot. There's no other place in Alabama with tornado warnings at this point. It's this one spot. And the TDS has pretty much gone away. The circulation passed pretty close to the airport. The Haleyville Airport is north of town, Posey Field, and it's passed pretty close to the airport. And again, we'll check the observations coming out of Posey Field, but you can see that tornado, Evan, I think it's gone for now. It might cycle back up, but it looks like it's gone for now.
It does, and this is a Taylor special 100%, but we can put a big old X
I like it.
over the remains of that one.
It's a good X.
It is canceled. Yeah. I hope I do her justice with that X there. But I will say this, just to echo what you were saying, James, is that moments before this spiked up, it looked like absolutely nothing. Broad circulation in the mid-levels of the atmosphere, and then boom, just like that, it touched down on a path that began near the Tesner area and went just to the east of Bear Creek. And what we're looking at now is this storm is literally hugging about 3 county lines: Winston, Morgan, and Lawrence County, as this moves off to the general northwest and will likely move into the Huntsville market here in no time. I want to go back to the CC here and zoom on in. There's really no clear, I couldn't really pick out, maybe right in here about a mile or two to the east of center, we could be talking about a little bit of a lowering, but overall, this certainly does not have the signature it did a few minutes ago. Haven't seen any damage reports just yet here. Of course, got the it looks like with the National Weather Service confirming that circulation was really intense. TDS near Posey Field. So we'll see if there's any reports from over there, but it has gone away. So that says that this storm has lifted once again, and that's what they'll do. They'll peak up in intensity, they'll touch down, and then they'll dissipate. So this storm continuing.
Evan, let's go to Stephen. He's on the way to Bear Creek, and he's got some damage reports. Stephen, go ahead. Okay, we don't. Okay, sorry, I thought he was up. I think they might not have cell service where they are, but Stephen does have some damage reports, and we're getting. All right, Stephen, try it again. Let's see if we got you now. Go.
James, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Just wanted to let you know that. We got off the phone with the Marion County EMA. They do say that they have first responders that are headed towards Highway 253. They have had reports of some structural damage there. Now, I stress I don't know how significant the damage is there, but that's an area where they are looking at right now, associated with that storm that moved through, that has moved into Winston County. But that's one of the areas they're looking at right now. We're headed towards Bear Creek, as you mentioned, now to make sure.
Okay, and again, the cell service is really spotty in through there, and we got the fact that apparently there's been some structural damage. Got a report of power out on Highway 13 between Haleyville and Bear Creek, which would make sense. And again, there's no doubt there was a tornado down. We saw the debris being lofted. There's no doubt that when dual polarization radar came online, we didn't think this product would be that good. It's that good. So we know that it was down, and you always hope that it's in a wooded area where nobody lives and there's no structures, but it sounds like there's been some structural damage in Marion County from that tornado. But again, the good news, the tornadic circulation is just basically non-existent at this point. We've got very broad rotation of the community of Rabbittown north of Ashridge. This is in northern Winston County. And again, let's pop on the reflectivity and just kind of show a big picture, kind of do a reset. Evan, again, you can see this line segment, and this is the only tornado warning, and I think in the whole country right now. It's for this circulation that is in extreme northern Winston. It's kind of hugging the Winston-Lawrence County line. The line runs from near Elkmont in Limestone County down to, again, southern Lawrence, south of Moulton, near Haleyville, then back into northern Lamar near Sulligent. And we do have severe thunderstorm warnings that have been posted now for Lamar, southern Marion, and northwestern Fayette counties. This is not a tornado warning. This is a severe thunderstorm warning for the possibility of strong straight line winds as this line comes through here. So again, the latest warnings for our market here, severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for the northern two-thirds of Lamar, extreme southern Marion, northwestern Fayette counties for this segment of the line that might produce some strong winds as it comes on through. There are no warnings up in the Tennessee Valley at this point. And again, the reason we're here, it's all of these flashing pink polygons, and this is just for one circulation. I know you see a lot of different polygons, but where a lot of county lines are merging and Weather Service county warning areas are coming together. But let's go back into northern Winston, and Haleyville will give you an all clear. Okay, if you're in Haleyville, you're good. All clear as this broad circulation is just north of Ashridge right here. And again, it's just kind of scooting right across the far, far northern part of Winston County. All right, and again, I don't think we have a tornado down, but this thing has had a history of being cyclic. We have an occlusion process, the tornado goes away. It gets on the ground again, and we've seen that with this. It has been cyclic, and it might recycle again. So again, if you're in this polygon, you stay sheltered. And I know the last thing you want to do is to be sitting in a bathtub with a bunch of kids and dogs and cats and hamsters and everything else, in the middle of the night. But it's the right thing to do. And all you can do is have fun with it. Look, there's no school tomorrow, all right? It's a Saturday morning. If this were a school morning, it would be a little more challenging, but to just have some fun with it, and we'll get through this together. This is part of living in Alabama in April. These things happen on a regular basis. So very broad rotation that is over northern Winston. And from Ashridge west, we'll give you an all clear from the tornado danger here. Again, the community of Grayson is here. The community of Moreland is here. And again, this is all in northern Winston County. This is Lawrence County here. Until that goes away, until Evan draws that X, you need to stay sheltered. And again, we've had reports of some damage with this over in Marion. And we have Stephen Quinn and Bill Castle, and they are in the process of getting into that damaged area. But it's good to see a lot of response. Show one image here. Hang on. Yeah, let's take this image. This was taken in the community shelter in Haleyville, Evan. Got your dog going on in there. Got your dog, and everybody's safe. You know, it
can be a big party.
Yeah, I mean, that's all you can do is just have a little fun with it. But again, that's looking at the shelter that is in Haleyville, and a lot of folks are there, and that's great. I'm glad to see the good response. And by the way, a lot of kids are wearing helmets. I like that. That's a good look. That's a good-looking helmet right there. That was taken up in Hamilton, so great to see the response. And again, this is what that storm looked like that was over Marion County with a tornado down from near the Winston County line, real close to Bear Creek, kind of looking back into it. And again, we just can't show you video of these tornadoes at night. They're rain-wrapped, and even with the lightning display like that, you just can't see it. But we do believe a rain-wrapped tornado did get down in parts of Marion County and did produce some damage at this point. And again, Bill and Stephen are on the way up there. So let's go back to the radar. It's now 3 o'clock. And again, you can see we've got this segment of Winston County has been taken out. So again, Haleyville, all clear. Haleyville, you're good. And again, this is it. You're one and done. Once this line moves through and out, there's no more severe weather. This will not be like last weekend. You know, we had the all-nighter Friday night, had an all-nighter Saturday night with those hailers that came through central Alabama, and then Sunday night we had tornadoes. So it will not be like this. Once this line gets out of here, that's it. So again, this is the velocity display. We're looking at northern Winston, and there's just not a tornado down at this point. Could it recycle? Yes. Could it get down again? Yes. And that's the reason that warning is there. The warning for northern Winston is in effect until 3:45. And again, it will be canceled before that because the storm, this segment will be out of the county before 3:45. And again, just a very small part of southern Lawrence in a tornado warning for this same broad circulation, kind of hugging the line. This is the line right here. Lawrence here, Winston here. And really, the circulation has been moving almost due east. There's not much of a northward component here with this. And again, that broad circulation from here could possibly wind up over in Cullman or Morgan, but again, right now it's just not looking impressive at all. Any other word from you on damage, Evan?
No, nothing yet. I do think Stephen Quinn is headed in the right direction based on that tornado debris signature. Anywhere near Bear Creek, if there was, a spot to look for damage, it'd be in that vicinity here as we move forward. And this is probably about as broad as we've seen the circulation. James did mention something earlier, though. It is an advantage to have multiple radars. So we've been looking at the Columbus radar, switching over to the Huntsville one, and there's really nothing. It doesn't look any better on the Huntsville radar, and we could even look at this one on the Birmingham radar, and there's nothing concrete, nothing that says, okay, this storm is intensifying. It's rotating well. It could form a tornado here in the short term. So that is the good news as it stands now. I wanted to give you an update here on the big picture. If I go back to the reflectivity, because this will be an ongoing line that will eventually impact some of these places like Fayette, like Jasper, eventually Birmingham, as well as Tuscaloosa. But it could be another couple of hours as this line progresses to the south and east. And one thing to note here, the tornado threat, that low-level jet, the dynamics that make for a tornado or a tornadoes favorable in an overall environment, that's moving well to the north. So that is good news. It's also overnight, so we don't have the sun aiding in additional fuel. You know, heat is fuel for these storms. Fuel, that's when we talk about instability, that's how much energy is available in the atmosphere. And as we go through the overnight, there's generally a weakening trend as we move forward. We note the severe thunderstorm warning that is in place here. It includes areas like Ewan, Sulligent, Vernon, the Fayette area where our Megan Scarano is, I believe, currently brilliant. And all of this along the line is for gusty winds. If I switch on the velocity product here, there's really nothing of concern as far as a rotational standpoint. Haven't seen any reports yet of any hail with this. The radar signatures don't lead me to believe that is a ongoing having a frequent issue with this, but it's something we'll be watching. And I think this could be very telling as to what this line evolves into overnight, is more of an elongated squall line with embedded gusts that are off and on, can pulse up to maybe 58, 60 miles an hour here moving forward through the overnight hours. Plenty of lightning, though. This will wake you up. If you're a light sleeper like me, when it comes to weather, since being a kid, like when the lightning, the thunder pops, can't get any sleep anyway. I'm glued to the radar looking at it, and as of now, that looks to be one of the big byproducts with this line. But back to the west, you're all clear. Emory, Mississippi, 30 minutes ago, we were talking about right in the thick of things. Now that place is all clear over Mississippi. Looking back into Monroe and Lowndes County, where these storms are still coming out, there's been no signs of any rotation along this line. And looking at radar trends, I really believe that the behavior of the storms on the radar is very telling as to what they're going to do. And over the last 30 minutes or so, there's been nothing back in Mississippi that's shown rotation or any structure that's tornadic in nature.
Yeah, let's take WEXO 5 real quick. Look at this packed shelter. Wow. Let's give them a shout out, Evan. That's in Haleyville.
I love that.
That's the one by the McDonald's. Great to see that big crowd here. And this is some video earlier taken from Bear Creek. Is that tornado was coming through nearby. And again, we're not going to be able to see a lot here, but you get the idea of the type of lightning display. Again, this is more video coming from Bear Creek. This was taken from the Bobby Bishop Community Storm Shelter in Bear Creek. And again, you can see just the constant lightning display there. So again, lightning has been the story in terms of seeing anything tonight. But let's go back to the radar here. It's 3:07. I'm James Spann with Evan Chickvara. And let's just say Taylor is, she is not available tonight. She's doing just fine. A lot of people have been asking, where's Taylor? She's doing just fine. She had a scheduled outage, if you will, and she will be back Monday, but she's doing fine. She's up monitoring all this as well. But again, we have, let's look at our severe thunderstorm warnings here, the downstream warnings, Evan, these new severe thunderstorm warnings. This is for northern Cullman and southern Morgan. So the Weather Service in Huntsville, they are replacing the tornado warning with a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for southeastern Lawrence, southern Morgan, and northern Cullman. Now, our friends in Hartselle got hit by a tornado last week, and I know that you're nervously watching this. I totally understand that. But again, the warning, it is a severe thunderstorm warning for gusty winds, straight line winds, not tornadic winds, and that there's no tornado signature here right now. It's just not there. So again, the warning, it's for about the southern half of Morgan County. And again, this is a severe thunderstorm warning, not a tornado warning. And in terms of Cullman County, this is north of Cullman. This includes Vinemont, up here toward West Point and Battleground in Cullman County. You're in the severe thunderstorm warning. So just be aware that you could see some fairly strong gusty winds coming through, but the tornado signature has just basically gone away. It's not there right now. Could it recycle? Yes. I'd say the odds of that happening are fairly low. We're optimistic this might be the last tornado warning of the morning, but I sure can't guarantee that. We might have others, but it looks like the way things are going, storms are becoming a little more behaved, the lightning output decreasing a little bit, the cloud tops are warming a little bit, the dynamics lifting north, the air a little more stable. That typically means the weakening trend will continue through the early morning hours. And again, here's the reflectivity, and you can see the line running from now just west of Huntsville right down through Priceville. I was at Priceville Elementary School this week on Monday, had a great time. Morgan County is a great place to be. That line coming through Hartselle, and again, I know that a lot of folks here are, that dealt with the damage last week. This makes you nervous. It makes me nervous if the same thing would happen to me, but just be confident that we have no tornado signature here, none. So again, the warning is a severe thunderstorm warning in effect. And over here in Lawrence is pouring, just pouring from Moulton south down into northern Winston County. But again, that circulation has really gotten broad. Now let's keep expanding this out. Let's look down farther down the line. And again, we have severe thunderstorm warnings in effect here for parts of Lamar. This is for the northern two-thirds of Lamar, southern Marion, and northwestern Fayette counties for this segment of the line. And again, the concern, it's strong straight-line winds, not tornadic-type winds. So severe thunderstorm warnings in effect now for southern Marion, northwestern Fayette, the northern two-thirds of Lamar County as this line drops on down to the south. And again, as these come into Tuscaloosa and Birmingham and Anniston and Gadsden later this morning, we think the chance of severe weather is very low, not zero, but very low, which is a good thing for those population centers. So technically this warning stays in effect. So let's go back into Winston County. We'll just take a closer look at this. And again, this is an area of very broad circulation. And I think we can X this thing out, can't we, Evan? I'm pretty sure we can over here.
We can indeed.
Yeah, so we're going to X this out. So again, Ash Ridge, you're good. We've got just this very small segment here of Winston County under a tornado warning. And quite frankly, there's just no tornado here at this point. But still, if you're in that small area near Grayson, up in the northern part of Winston, this is Alabama Highway 33, by the way, coming out of Double Springs, coming up toward Moulton. Just stay sheltered for a few more minutes, and I think that will be going away sooner than later. And it looks like, yeah, they're going to cancel Winston here in just a minute. The Weather Service in Birmingham, they're about to clear Winston out of this tornado warning polygon because there's no tornado here. And they're discussing a new severe weather watch with a storm prediction center that could extend a little farther to the south. We'll see what they do with that. But again, our friends at Birmingham, they are coordinating some type of new severe weather watch with the SPC. Let's look at our current tornado watch real quick, Evan. The current watch we have runs through 7 a.m. And you can see that it includes Lamar, Fayette, Walker, Cullman, Marshall, and DeKalb counties. And the question is, will they extend this farther to the south? And again, I firmly believe the risk of severe weather down to Interstate 20 is pretty low, but they might extend it down to the south. We'll see what happens here in a few minutes. But again, that's your current watch. The counties here in yellow, that would be Lamar, Fayette, Winston, Marion, Walker, Cullman, Marshall, DeKalb, and counties north up to the Tennessee state line. That's the current watch until 7 o'clock. So let's go back to the radar, and let's just do a big picture, if you will, to kind of give you a reset. And we'll kind of leave this same view on here so you can kind of see the storms in relation to Birmingham and Tuscaloosa and Anniston. There's your line right here from near Sulligent to about Winfield, up to about south of Moulton, back up toward Hartselle. And the tornado warning for Winston is about to expire. There's no tornado evident there. We have severe thunderstorm warnings in effect now for northern Cullman, southern Morgan, for the northern two-thirds of Lamar, northwestern Fayette, and southern Marion for this line that's coming through. But Evan, it looks like in Mississippi it's pretty quiet over there with storms, right?
Yeah, very quiet, and that's what we've been looking at leading up to these storms moving into Alabama. We were watching what was happening back in Mississippi, right? We like to see the behavior, if you will, of these thunderstorms, because based on the past, what characteristics they've had, that helps us determine, okay, what's it going to do when it gets into our counties, our DMA. And as it stands now, there's not any active warnings back into Mississippi, which is a great sign. And we expected to see an overall weakening, and certainly could we still see an increase in the intensity of this line? Sure. But what I think we'll trend more to seeing is smaller embedded gusty wind threats, and haven't really seen much of a hail threat at this point. So that is good. But look at this line that extends, as we mentioned, from Lamar County back into Lowndes County, Mississippi, Itawamba, Oktibbeha County, and then back towards that I-55 corridor, moving off in a pretty good easterly motion with a little bit of a southerly trajectory. That's why our time tables for this have been so wonky, is because they're moving so much in a west to east orientation, and that southerly component is not happening as quickly here. So again, looking at the big picture of the DMA, going to be a loud passage as this line goes through. Last 10 minutes everywhere on this map, 350 lightning strikes here. So that's not a quiet overnight. It's not a quiet morning. But as it stands now, it looks like we just have those two severe thunderstorm warnings that are left northern Cullman County, as well as parts of Marion, Lamar, and Fayette counties over near Hamilton.
I want to look at Madison real quick. Let's look at, a lot of people watch us, Evan, from different parts of Alabama. We just wanted to show this warning very quickly. This is not including Huntsville. A lot of people saw a tornado warning for Madison County. Just wanted to clarify that. This is for a storm that is basically hugging the line. Let's flip over to High Top. It'll give us a closer look at this, the High Top radar in Jackson County. And let's look at the velocity. This is for a possible circulation near Hazel Green. You can see it right there. It's on the Tennessee state line. So again, this is a tornado warning in effect for extreme northern Madison. This is for folks near the Tennessee state line. This has nothing to do with Huntsville. Just wanted to make that perfectly clear. If you're in Madison or Huntsville, Monrovia, any of those places like that, this is far north of you. This is a possible tornadic circulation that crossed Highway 231, US 231, and that's in the process of moving over into Tennessee up here. So just I wanted to show that. And a lot of folks were asking questions about Huntsville and tornadoes. This polygon does not include the city of Huntsville, not even close. And again, that circulation is basically moving into Tennessee up here, out of Alabama. So hazel green, all clear. And again, this is basically an all clear for Madison County. So let's go back to Winston and Cullman and Morgan down here, and we'll take a look at what's going on here. And again, there's no tornado signature here. This is a severe thunderstorm warning. So we'll pop on the reflectivity. This is a severe thunderstorm warning for the possibility of strong straight line winds. And the polygon is as far north as Hartselle, as far south as the northern part of the city limits of Cullman, down toward the Cullman Regional Medical Center. That's Highway 157 right here. And 157 here, there's West Point, Battleground is right here, Massey is here, Danville. So again, southern Morgan, northern Cullman, and the southeastern part of Lawrence. That is a severe thunderstorm warning, no tornado warning. And we still have that flashing tornado warning polygon for Winston. That's in the process of being canceled. But again, it's interesting to note with that storm up in Madison, the Weather Service in Huntsville telling us they've got a TDS to 10,000 feet with that. And again, it's moving into Tennessee, but that's the one we showed you earlier. And the Weather Service has officially canceled that warning. So X that thing out, Evan.
All right, let's get that out of here.
Get it out of here. So we have no tornado warnings in the state. The Madison County storm has crossed into Tennessee. The warning for Winston has been canceled. So at this moment, as of 3:17 a.m., we have no tornado warnings for Alabama. So let's bump it up a little bit, move it farther north. We can see that full line here and just kind of show the broad position of this line. Again, the warning is in effect for Tennessee here, north of Huntsville, north of Madison County, but the line stretches from Huntsville down to Hartselle and Faulkville, then down just north of Smith Lake into Winston County, then curves into Marion County and Winston County. And that's high top. Let's pop over to Birmingham real quick, take a look at that view from BMX with this. And again, gives a little better view of these storms over here in West Alabama. We have severe thunderstorm warnings in effect now for parts of southern Marion, northwestern Fayette, the northern two-thirds of Lamar for this line segment here that could produce strong straight line winds. So again, the severe thunderstorm warnings are for parts of southeastern Lawrence, southern Morgan, northern Cullman, southern Marion, northwestern Fayette, the northern two-thirds of Lamar. All severe thunderstorm warnings. So can we take Stephen's live shot, Dennis? It looks like he's got some damage. Let's see if we can bring in Stephen Quinn. Stephen, I've seen some damage coming from your shots. What do you have up there?
Dennis, first off, can you hear us, James, real quick?
Yes, sir. You're loud and clear.
I'm not sure if you're able to hear us.
Yeah, you're loud and clear. I see my man Bill out there. You're
okay.
good.
We're kind of surveying right now. There does appear to have been some sort of damage where we are right now. Here in the northern part, we are along what's called Chalk Mine Road. This is right near the Fairview Cemetery here. We are outside of Hackleburg on our way to Bear Creek when we ran into this. There are power lines down here and some trees that appear to be down on a camper over here. I'm going to slide this around so you can see real quick. And frankly, we are, let me shine a flashlight over this way so you can see what we're dealing with. And you can see there's some damage and some people trying to clear out here. That's really the extent of what I know what we have right now, James. We're trying to get some more, and if you've seen some of the images I've shown you on social media on our way up here, we did see at least one one tree that was down along Highway 43, and as we told you right before cell service cut out, we do have reports of some level of structural damage along State Highway 253. That's the road that runs north and south up towards Hackleburg, which would be consistent of whatever this was that may have cut diagonally this way. So Bill's coming back here now. We're going to see what it looks like or what kind of damage we're dealing with. But it does appear that there was something associated with that line, and this is consistent with where you guys reported starting to see some of that drop and the debris being lofted. It was probably what we're looking at right here, James.
Okay, thank you, Stephen. Again, we'll check back with you. That's some damage up in Marion County. Let's pop on this new tornado watch. Evan, want to see what this looks like. The new tornado watch has been issued, the one that was being coordinated a few minutes ago. And so they're going to drop it all the way down into almost Montgomery. And again, this is a lower end threat, but I guess considering what this thing has done, out of respect for that, they just wanted to cover everything. So again, this is a tornado watch until 8 o'clock this morning for all of these counties you see here in yellow. And the southernmost counties would be Chambers, Tallapoosa, Elmore, Autauga, Dallas, Marengo, and Sumter. Counties north, okay? So this does include Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, Anniston, Gadsden. A lot of people, their weather radios have just sounded. You're turning on the television, and here we are. We've been here working a potential tornado situation in parts of northwest Alabama. But again, this is a new tornado watch for much of central Alabama in effect until 8 o'clock this morning. And again, this would include Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, Anniston, Gadsden, Clanton, Alexander City, Brent, Greensboro, Utah, Rockford, Ashland, Lineville, Utah, York, Livingston, Demopolis, places like that, all the way down to Chambers, Tallapoosa, I'm sorry, not Chambers, but Roanoke here, Randolph County, Tallapoosa, Elmore, Autauga, Dallas, Marengo, and Sumter. So, new tornado watch until 8. I honestly don't think we have that many problems for the rest of the morning, but as always, be weather aware. And for those that have been up with us all night, if you've got that weather radio, go to sleep. If there's a warning, that thing will wake you up. But if you don't, on your phone, be sure that the do not disturb is not active. You want that disabled so you can receive the notifications, those wireless emergency alerts, and the sleep mode and all that. Just try and disable all that so you can hear the notifications if you by chance get a warning. I honestly don't think we have that many warnings to go this morning, but again, our friends out in Norman at the Storm Prediction Center, they believe it warrants a tornado watch. So we have a tornado watch until 8 o'clock deep down into central Alabama. And again, you can see our warnings up here. We have no tornado warnings. Zero. None. Evan?
It looks like we do have one now. They've issued, I believe, for the for that same severe thunderstorm warning we had earlier. If we want to switch back, we could zoom in on that one for, it looks like Morgan County. It's out of our DMA.
Okay,
but,
yeah, Huntsville, yeah. Okay, so you're correct. So the Weather Service in Huntsville has issued a tornado warning for Morgan. So let's go in. This is for Marshall and Morgan. So let's go back to the radar and let's take a look at this. And again, a lot of folks, in the middle of the night here, a lot of people are watching these streams. And in the digital world, there's no such thing as TV markets. So let's look at HTX coming from High Top, and we'll take a closer look at this. First off, concerning those who are in the polygon, that would be Hartselle, Falkville, which is right here. This is Interstate 65, US 31 right here. And then over into extreme western Morgan County, the community of Ruth is right here. Ruth took that horrible hit back April 27th, 2011. So southern Morgan and the extreme western part of Marshall County. This is US 231 right here. And they're looking at this circulation right here. And again, so most likely this passes pretty far south of Hartselle, but yet you are in the polygon, and so respect the polygon and be in a safe place. But again, Hartselle down to the Cullman County line. And again, we stress this does not include any part of Cullman County. This is exclusively in Morgan County. And again, for the circulation you see right here, that'll be crossing US 31 and I-65. And obviously, I-65 is a very heavily traveled road, and we don't want anybody driving along Interstate 65 at this point from Hartselle down to Lacon here. And the same thing for US 31. So if by chance you're listening to us by radio or on your phone, and if you're coming from, say, like Decatur south, just stop and preferably find some joint that's open, get you a donut or coffee or something. And the same thing if you're coming north out of Cullman County. Just stop down in Cullman and wait this thing out. It's not really a classic tornado signature here, but Evan, it looks like they believed it was enough to pull the trigger on the warning there.
Yeah, and this is the one, James, that we had tracked back through Winston and Marion County that had had shown signs of rotation. And I believe that's probably why they went ahead and issued it, because of the history of it, because it still is very broad rotation as we see now. But right over the Falkville area, I'll circle where I could best find that rotation here. If you're just now joining us, we've been on the air for a little while now, mainly for this storm that had a pretty good TDS back towards Bear Creek in Marion County, same spot that was hit exactly a week ago. So this is in Falkville. This is just north of Coleman County, and that would be where the circulation is best organized. Again, there's likely not a tornado down with this. We don't have a signature on it at the moment, but this is the only tornado warning in Alabama. Everywhere else has been severe thunderstorm warnings, which it does appear it's going to trend that way. So if you're just now waking up and joining us, you're like, uh-oh, what are we looking at here? Right now we have a tornado watch, as James was talking about here. I'll switch over to that if you just woke up like my wife did because the weather radio went off, it's because a tornado watch has been issued for essentially all of central Alabama. If you are in the yellow outlined here, you are part of it. This goes all the way down to that I-85 corridor just to the north of Lee County, Alabama. And as for our active warnings, we just are seeing severe thunderstorm warnings stretching from Fayette back into northern Walker County and southern Marion. So I'll switch back over to our radar here in our reflectivity product. I'll get back to the Birmingham radar to give you an idea of what we're looking at off to the north of Birmingham. But here's the line in question. There's that tornado warning. Again, that's just outside of our market. That's for the just to the south, really from Hartselle right down to the Coleman County line. That's where that tornado warning is. And then what we're seeing here is just an elongated area of thunderstorm activity that really stretches from near the Double Springs area all the way back just to the north of Vernon there in Lamar County. And the biggest threat with this is going to be brief gusty pulses. That does not mean that everything along this line that you're seeing here are the reds, the pinks. Not all that is 60-mile-an-hour winds, but the potential does exist within that little stretch of thunderstorms to get these pulses of wind gusts here. Keeping an eye out on any reports that we've had here, a possible entrapment over near the Bear Creek area. I haven't had a confirmation on that, but just something sent by one of our sky watchers here in the Bear Creek area. So that we'll find out more information on that as we go through the next couple of hours as folks can get over there. But as it stands now, there's that one tornado warning for areas of Morgan and Marshall County. Coleman County, you are not involved in that at all. Severe thunderstorm warnings for our DMA include Winston County, northern Walker County stretching back into Fayette, as well as Lamar County, and that is going to be for the threat for some gusty winds. Haven't had any reports on this. We're watching it, and there's some impressive reflectivity values on there. So the rain is torrential. I mean, if nothing else, you have a tin roof. We have a sunroom back at my mom's house, and when it rained hard, there'd be nothing severe about it, but we'd wake up because you get these big old raindrops. You have heavy rain with this moving just to the south of Ewan. Well, I do a little driving of the radar here. This is coming into Vernon, stretching back into extreme northern Fayette County. This is, I believe, Highway 43 here, so near the Wayside, Bobo, Stewart, Glen Allen, as you get closer to I-22 and Rock City. That's where this line is currently oriented. And haven't had any reports of wind gusts up to 60, but that's what this warning is for brief wind gusts that could be up to about 58, 60 miles an hour. That is the same for those storms that are back closer to the Lynn area as well as Double Springs. Double Springs, you're smack in the middle of it. And once this wraps up for you there at Double Springs, central Winston County, that'll be it. Haleyville, you're done. You may not even have any more rain. Hackleburg, you're done. Hamilton, done. Pikeville, done as well. This line will be moving through, and then that'll be the end of it. And as we mentioned earlier, as James talked about, we have just the one tornado warning, and that includes the Falkville area, as well as Gum Springs, Odin Ridge, Florette. This is right over I-65. I'll switch radar sites back over to get a better look at this. So this is back to the Huntsville radar. Has a little bit of a better view here. Check our velocity with this storm as it stands now, and it's just not looking too promising at this time. As we've seen, this has been the one that we've watched for quite some time here with where it's pulsed up. It had that tornado debris signature well back into Marion County. It has tried to redevelop, tried to re-intensify, but note this, the best dynamics are further to the north now, so we're no longer seeing that dynamic support to get these storms going, and that's why it's going to be more so a straight line wind threat, which, don't get me wrong, you have straight line winds of 60 miles an hour. I have a couple trees in my yard that would not do well with that. So that's to be taken seriously as well, but we should generally see that tornado threat not out of the picture, but coming down here over the next couple of hours. So there's that one tornado warning. And now I'll zoom back on out to show you the DMA view here and the reflectivity of those storms as they move on through the line in question here. We have severe thunderstorm warning stretching from northern Coleman County back through Walker County and into central Fayette, and central Lamar County, and that's going to go until 3:45 here. So for it looks like about the next 15 minutes. And this is the line that will eventually be upon places like Jasper, like the Cullman area, like Warrior, Dora, the Birmingham Metro, and eventually Tuscaloosa County. If I put this in motion, switching back over here to the Birmingham radar, if you're just now joining us, we've been in coverage for a little while. Tornado-warned storm went through Marion County near Bear Creek once again. There was a tornado debris signature with that. All of these on the map right now in our DMA are of the severe level, or the severe potential, I should say. I'm going to put this in a lapse over the last hour to give you a general idea of how these storms are moving. And they're moving, you can see that west to east motion. They just aren't moving south very quickly, which is what's making this take so long. If you're in the Birmingham area, you're like, man, we've been waiting for this rain for quite some time, and it hasn't arrived yet. That's just because of the orientation, how these storms are moving. And right now what we have is that severe thunderstorm warning, a flurry of severe thunderstorm warnings that include Fayette, Lamar, northern Walker, and central Winston County as it stands now, and the one tornado warning just to the north.
Let's see if we can get Stephen Quinn back on the line. Stephen, what you got up there?
Hey, James, what I can tell you right now is that people move quickly up here. We were at that site where we showed you a moment ago. This is off of County Road 12, and you can see this appears to be at least some of what was involved in that debris signature that you mentioned a moment ago. As you see the tree here, two massive trees that were damaged by what appears to have been that apparent possible tornado that moved through this area of Marion County. And for perspective, we're just east of Hackleburg. A community, obviously, that knows very well the impact of these kind of events. And these are people that waste no time. We can already hear the chainsaws going. What you can't see behind us right here in this driveway is actually an excavator ready to help with the damage as you see people are surveying this. The good news, James, is that the people who lived in this home, I'm told, actually were in a nearby storm shelter. Obviously, that is something that people take very seriously given the history of this town back on April 27, 2011. Many of those now have storm shelters that were in use today. And as I mentioned there, as Bill is showing you now, there are already people out beginning the work to clean up in this portion of Marion County. That excavator ready here. There are a lot of trees down as well as power lines. No word yet on potential power outages, but obviously there are some lines down here in this area, which is, again, somewhat east of Hackleburg on your way to Bear Creek. That was where we were trying to travel when we ran into this, and just wanted to show you a little bit of what's being experienced here in Marion County from that debris signature from a possible tornado that moved through this area. James?
All right, Stephen, thank you. And Dennis, is Megan on the line in Fayette County? I was going to go to her if she can hear me. Okay, no audio. We've got a crew here in Fayette, and again, they're about to deal with this line. And again, northern Fayette County from Fayette north, they are under a severe thunderstorm warning, as is parts of southern Marion and the northern two-thirds of Lamar County. And again, this is what it looks like in Fayette now. And again, their conditions will deteriorate pretty quickly over the next 10 minutes or so, as they'll see very strong winds and tremendous amounts of rain coming into Fayette. And again, we'll be watching her camera carefully. But again, you can see the line stretching now from near Vernon to near Hubbardsville in Fayette County, up to the northern part of Smith Lake, then curving up to near Eva, north of Cullman, then to a point east of Huntsville. And there's only one tornado warning, only one. And that one tornado warning is the one that's in effect for southern Morgan and extreme northwestern Marshall here for this segment, but that rotation is broad. We should mention we have severe thunderstorm warnings for pretty much the whole line, for much of Winston County, for northern Walker County, and again for southern Marion, northern Fayette, and parts of central Lamar County. And that's as the line drops on down to the south. The main threat kind of shifting from tornadoes to straight line winds. And again, we believe that the line will continue to slowly weaken over the next couple of hours. And by the time it finally reaches Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, Anniston, and Gadsden toward 5 o'clock, 5:30 this morning, we think they will pretty much be below severe limits. And I do know there's a tornado watch until 8 that was extended down into parts of central Alabama. But again, we believe firmly that this line will be weakening by 5, 6 o'clock this morning as they come into places like Tuscaloosa and Birmingham and Anniston and Gadsden. So let's go back to this storm here, Evan. And we've got our one tornado warning on the board. We'll take a look at the HTX radar, the high top radar. And again, we can give an all clear now for I-65 and US 31 in Hartselle. So again, Hartselle, all clear. US 31, I-65, all clear. If you need to drive, go. You'll have some horrible rain to deal with, but in terms of a tornado threat. And again, we're just not seeing any evidence of a tornado here at this point. Again, to get your bearing straight, that's Alabama Highway 67 right here. This is US 231 right here. And again, you know, this thing has been coming and going. It's up 1 minute, it's down the next. And let's go to WEXO 5 real quick. Dennis wanted to show some video coming in. A lot of folks are up this morning sending us video, and most of the video involves lightning. And again, you can see almost constant lightning in this particular case. And a lot of folks have been seeing this type of display with these storms. And obviously with that comes the loud thunder. And for a lot of folks, it has been kind of a sleepless night. Here's some more video. And again, it all looks the same. These are in different spots within that line across the state. But the lightning display has been extremely vivid and just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of ground strokes. And again, here's another. We'll play one more of these just to give you an idea what it's been looking like. Again, that was from earlier. That was near the community of Bear Creek, where they had that apparently a tornado that went through very close to there. And again, Bill Castle and Stephen Quinn are up in some of the damaged areas. You've been seeing their video, and that's what it looked like from that perspective there. So let's go back to the radar here. It is 3:36 on Saturday morning. And the one tornado warning we have in the state is this one. This is in effect for the southern and southeastern part of Morgan County and the far northwestern part of Marshall County. And again, Arab here, Joppa here. This is the town of Ruth. And again, it looks just awfully broad. So let's go back to the other part of the line with the reflectivity. Evan, we'll take a look at Fayette County because I want to go to Megan, who's down in here. And let's see. So, yeah. All right. So Megan is down here in Fayette. The line is about 5 miles north of you, Megan. So what's the conditions like in Fayette now? Go.
Well, James, we've had certainly a much different night than Stephen has up north. It's been pretty quiet here while we've had some lightning. It's been a little bit windy, but we just haven't seen a lot of rain or anything just yet. But you're saying it's just about to pick up. We're headed towards Temple Avenue, towards downtown Fayette. But we have had some steady, constant lightning just for the last hour while you guys have been wall to wall. But no significant rain or anything like that just yet here.
Okay, Megan, thank you very much. We appreciate that. And again, that's Megan Scarano that's located in Fayette. And again, let me just say this too, Evan. A lot of people are hearing these outdoor sirens, and in some counties, sirens sound countywide. We don't issue tornado warnings based on an entire county. Tornado warnings are based on small segments of counties, polygons, if you will. And so understand, like, for example, a lot of people in Cullman said they're hearing sirens going off. There is no part, zero, no part of Cullman County in any tornado warning. This is in effect for Morgan County. I'm up here, and again around Eva. And even up here, the rotation is awfully broad, but I just wanted to mention that there is no part of Cullman County under a tornado warning. So that's, just wanted to clarify that because we don't want people getting the illusion of false alarms. A lot of times they hear things, and it's just, the best thing to do if you can is to watch, and we do our best to say who's in the polygon, who's out of the polygon. But just remember that we don't issue tornado warnings based on entire counties. The thing looks pretty lame at this point, Evan.
It certainly does. It hasn't shown a good radar signature here over the last several scans, but this is the one, if you're just now joining us, you go back about an hour or so moving through Marion County. This is the same storm that produced that TDS, and that's, I think, why they're being extra cautious with this is simply because it has that history of producing that rotation, but it certainly hasn't shown anything worthwhile here, which is great. That's what we love to see here, and this is the Birmingham radar, so I'll switch over to Huntsville to give you a look, and there's really just nothing there. Once these storms start to fizzle out, they become a little more outflow dominated, and you don't have that rotation anymore. And note, we talked about this a little bit earlier. James has touched on this, that the best dynamics are actually going to move to the north. So what that means for us is these storms will end up being primarily a wind threat here moving forward. So do a bit of a reset. For those of you just now joining us, I'm trying to keep up with our streams here and everything else to give you an idea of what's happening, what people want to know. And what's happening right now is we have a line of storms that have a severe thunderstorm warning on them that are moving into areas like Carbon Hill, like Fayette, like Vernon. Let me switch back over to the Birmingham one to give you a better view of what's coming here. And something I've also noticed, radar trends. I said the radar will talk to you a little bit. You watch the radar and it'll tell you things. And I can say that this rain, this little cluster of showers that's formed from Barry up to Jasper, out ahead of this main line, is really going to take away some of the energy for these stronger storms. So we may actually see a weakening trend here over the next 15 to 20 minutes, the next several radar scans with this line that's coming into Carbon Hill, simply because we're seeing this, we call this like these cluttered showers. This out ahead of the main line, well, this will produce that rain-cooled air. So cool air going into a storm doesn't aid in the storm. The storm likes to have that warmer air inflow. That's fuel for this line in that cooler area of rain, that cold pooling out in front of it. Could be helpful. Haven't seen any reports of hail or gusty winds with this yet. Been monitoring several things. We have Slack, which is you guys out there. That's our viewers, our sky watchers. We have the National Weather Service chat up here. Just have not seen any reports. That's a good thing. These storms have the potential to produce winds that are, say, up to 58, 60, 65 miles an hour. Have yet to see that. There's been torrentially heavy rain. I mentioned that earlier. That may wake you up, and lots of lightning strikes just in this scan alone here. 167 strikes in the last 10 minutes. The good news is once this line moves through, you're done. So Double Springs, we were just talking about you about 10, 15 minutes ago. Now we're in the clear. We might not have any more rain there. Haleyville as well. You're in the clear. Brilliant. Guin, Celigent now in the clear. Carbon Hill, you're next up for some heavy rain, perhaps some gusty winds. Like I said, we have yet to see gusty winds. And just looking at the trend of the radar here, this line doesn't have that bowing segment. A lot of times when you see that bowing, that arch, if you've watched any coverage for a while, you get the idea. You know what we're talking about, those radar signatures where it's bowing out. That's typically a sign of strong winds. Notice this is very cluttered. This does not have a defined leading edge. There's not a bowing segment. So the chance of there being widespread strong winds within this line are fairly low. There's probably little segments here where you have gusty winds. But I think part of that's thankful to this area of rainfall from Jasper to Oakman over to Barry that's really killing the inflow into this storm. Still have that tornado warning. That is outside of our DMA. That's north of Cullman. So if you're hearing sirens and you're in Cullman County, again, that's been something that's commented on. It looks like our YouTube feed here that some people have heard the sirens in Cullman County. We don't have a warning for Cullman County. In fact, Cullman County is not in that severe thunderstorm warning polygon either. The severe thunderstorm warning includes extreme southern Winston County as well as northern Walker County, Fayette County as well, where some of the heaviest rain, and if we have any potential of hail here, it's going to be, it looks like near Bobo, Stewart, in an area from Bethlehem Church up to Winfield, south of Winfield, and that's where our gusts would be. When you see these colors on the map here, that's indicative as that radar spinning, it hits mass in the atmosphere. And when you have a lot of really heavy rain, potentially a hail core, that's where you get those pinks, those whites, and that's likely where you have the heaviest rain, potentially gusty winds just to the south and west of Bazemore, Fowler's Crossroads, and north of the Stowe and Fayette areas. And we zoom on out here and give you a look at the actual motion of this before we get back to James here. I'll put this in over the last hour to give you an idea of, hey, where is this headed? So the line has a pretty good west to east motion on it. Doesn't have a great southerly motion. That's why it's taken so long. And more to the point, I mentioned this just a minute ago, but these showers that are developing over the Birmingham metro, this really light rain that we're now seeing through Jefferson, through Shelby, nothing here severe. So if you're watching us and you're hearing the thunder, the lightning outside, and you're in Jefferson, Shelby, if you're in St. Clair, Tuscaloosa, Bibb counties, and you're thinking, okay, it's raining at my house, because this is what I was like as a kid. I'd look outside and be like, it has to be severe here because there's lightning. There's nothing severe about what's coming through Jefferson, Shelby, St. Clair County, Tuscaloosa County, or Bibb County at this time. Those showers out ahead of it are it. That's just showers, a few rumbles of thunder, but that's all. The more dangerous part of the line, or the severe part of the line, is back off to the north and west, stretching currently from the Fayette area back through just north of Jasper, all the way to Cullman, and there's that lone tornado warning that's just to the south and east of Hartselle. Hartselle, you are now in the clear as well. Cullman, you're about to have a pretty decent line come through there, potentially some gusty winds and some really heavy rainfall. And then the northwestern part of Walker County next up to have some really heavy rain, and haven't had any hail reports yet. That was something that was really, really common with the storms that we had last weekend is, tennis ball size hail, stuff that we don't see very often in Alabama. And so far, that's a good thing. Don't want to see hail. If anyone's ever been part of hail or driven into it, that can be an absolute nightmare. So it's good that we've not seen those reports. Check in here with the National Weather Service to see how we're doing. The hail with these up to quarter size is what it looks like is the threat for, as well as winds up to 60 miles an hour, which we've talked about. And we'll watch the evolution of this line as it's about to come together with some rain to the south from Barry over to Parrish along I-22. And it'll be a loud morning, overnight for a lot of folks here. If we want to take our Jasper sky cam, I got that pulled up over here, and we'll look off to the north and west. And
let's take a look at Megan's stream real quick, Evan. They're in. I think they're in the band of storms now.
Okay.
Megan, can you hear us?
Megan, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Go. Tell us what you got.
We've got a little bit of rain coming down now. I wouldn't say it was pouring, but it's definitely starting to come down. This is the most rain we've seen so far tonight. We saw a little bit of droplets around 10 and then more around 1. But this is the most steady form of rain we've seen. It's been lightning for about 2 hours now. So this storm took a long time to get here to Fayette. But now we're driving north here, so we might even see some more. Like you said, we were driving into it a little bit earlier too. But yeah, we're certainly seeing some rain come down, but nothing too bad. James?
All right, Megan, thank you again. That's great news. And again, the Weather Service is not going to extend this warning, so the tornado warning is off the board. There are no tornado warnings for any part of Alabama. However, we have a line of storms, and within that line, we have a few areas under severe thunderstorm warnings. And that would include a pretty good chunk of Cullman County. This would include the city of Cullman and Hanceville. Again, this is not a tornado warning. There's been some confusion tonight. Cullman County has never been under a tornado warning this morning. Never. There was a tornado warning for Morgan. Cullman County, they've been under severe thunderstorm warnings a couple of times, but no tornado warnings. And again, this is a severe thunderstorm warning for a pretty good chunk of Cullman County for this line segment that's coming into Cullman. And again, the main concern, strong, potentially damaging straight line winds. Straight line winds. So that is a severe thunderstorm warning in effect now for much of Cullman County. We have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for extreme southern Winston, for parts of northern Walker County. For these segments of the line. The good news, the warnings have really been taken off the board for Fayette County. We have no warnings in effect now for Fayette or Lamar. In fact, let's look at West Alabama, Evan, just to be sure. Yeah, I mean, there's no warnings at all here. So these storms are sub-severe, under severe limits in Fayette and Lamar County. So that's great news. Still, it's raining and it's gusty and it's windy, but they're under severe limits. And remember, severe criteria. 1-inch diameter hail. We don't expect any hail this morning. The wind has to be 58 miles per hour for a storm to be severe. So if you've got a warning, that means you might have winds that could exceed 58 miles an hour. But we firmly believe that these are under that criteria. But there are warnings, again, severe thunderstorm warnings in effect now for a pretty good chunk of Cullman County and for parts of northern Walker and extreme southern Winston counties. The line coming through Smith Lake, the line coming through Vinemont. It'll be in downtown Cullman here fairly soon. There's also severe thunderstorm warnings for parts of Madison and Jackson counties up here in the Tennessee Valley. And again, this is what's going to be coming through Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, Anniston, Gadsden later this morning. And I just, based on the environmental conditions, it just seems as though they should continue to weaken. And I'd say the chance of them being at severe limits in Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, Anniston, Gadsden, the chance is low. Not zero, but low. You need to stay weather aware all morning until these things pass. But the good news, this is a one and done. Once this line passes, you're done with it. In fact, this day should be beautiful. The day today should be mostly sunny once these storms end. And we'll be up in the upper 70s and low 80s. Should be a very nice afternoon today after this stormy pre-dawn look here. So tell you what, let's expand it out a little bit more. We've got a new warning up here. This is for parts of Marshall, for parts of Jackson and DeKalb counties for the line segment here. And again, I think you're going to see a lot of these severe thunderstorm warnings this morning for the line segment. And again, we've got some rain falling in parts of the Birmingham metro and parts of central Alabama, but there's no severe weather issues down there. The concern, it's within that line. And goodness, it's awfully windy. Let's go to Stephen's camera real quick. We can. And Stephen and Bill Castle. Stephen, looks like you got some type of police activity with the storms up there. What you got?
Yeah. Well, what's going on right now, James, is that you have police and that are trying to limit access to those areas that we showed you a short time ago. Right now, the effort is trying to clear this off. There are power lines down and trees down. Phil, we'll keep going this way, keep going straight here. And that's certainly causing a lot of issues. And as you see the chief there who's been helping us out, we're going to continue going straight here. We are working our way, James, towards Bear Creek, and I do want to pass along some information that we've gotten from over there, from the chief as well as the fire department here in Hackleburg. And that is namely that you want to bear right here. Bear right there. There we go. Namely, James, before we get out of poor cell signal, is that they've had multiple trailers that have been damaged there in that area. And moreover, we have heard from the fire department of at least 2 people that have been transported. No word yet on any extent of those injuries, but that's why we are headed right now towards Bear Creek. I'll keep talking, but as you know, the cell signal can get spotty very quickly.
Yeah, thank you, Stephen. So again, that's our first report of injuries coming from that. Let's go to WEX 05 real quick. And again, this is some of the damage that we're seeing. And again, the image, it looks like that's some type of a tree or a large limb down on a home. And again, this is all from that storm that passed near the Bear Creek community earlier this morning. In fact, the note here with this says, trees down on our friend's house on County Road 114 between Haleyville and Bear Creek. There is a tree down on the house across the street as well, and several more trees down on the roads. So again, we really won't know until the first light of day about how bad it is, but it sure seems like a tornado did come through that part of Marion County around Bear Creek, south of Hackleburg, and then maybe clipping that far northern part of Winston County north of Haleyville. And again, all of this happened about 1 to 2 hours ago, and there were tornado warnings in effect well before that stuff happened, and we hope that folks got the message. And again, what Stephen just reported, it sounds like we perhaps had some injuries as a result of that. We don't know the extent of those injuries, and again, we really won't know the extent of the damage until the first light of day. Let's take a look at Megan's camera real quick. We can take her live shot. This is coming from Fayette. Again, just wanted to show you that line segment coming through Fayette. And again, this is live, and it's sub-severe. There are no warnings in effect for Fayette County. The storms are producing obviously heavy amounts of rain, a lot of thunder and lightning and gusty winds, but they are under severe limits in Fayette at this point, which is good. So let's go back to the radar, kind of do a reset. We're getting close to 4 o'clock this morning. I'm James Spann with Evan Chickvara. We're working a severe weather event. We've been on the air for quite a while this morning. And again, you can see a line of strong to severe storms stretching now from Scottsboro in Jackson County down to the northern tip of Lake Gunnersville, down to Cullman, Smith Lake, down to Carbon Hill, Fayette, and Vernon. And within the line, we have no tornado warnings, no tornado warnings. We have severe thunderstorm warnings in effect now for parts of DeKalb, Jackson, Marshall, much of Cullman County, southern Winston, northern Walker counties within the northern segment of this line for the possibility of strong straight line winds. And again, as we go through the morning, I just think the weakening will continue. Having said that, let's look at our tornado watch, Evan. We've got a tornado watch until 8 o'clock this morning that includes a number of folks down into central Alabama. This is our tornado watch. The counties here in yellow, and notice no tornado warnings. The southernmost counties are Randolph, Tallapoosa, Elmore, Autauga, Dallas, Marengo, and Sumter. Counties north up to the Tennessee state line. And again, this segment here, the tornado watch, is in effect until 8 o'clock this morning. And I really do think there's a good chance the storms will keep on weakening. I just don't think we have a major problem once we get past 4, 5 o'clock. We're almost to 4 o'clock now. But as always, this is April. You've got to be weather aware. When it comes to storms, expect the unexpected. You've got to be ready. And so hopefully you've got that weather radio going. But Evan, I think we're moving in the right direction, slowly but surely.
Yeah, absolutely. And a couple things to do with that, James, as we talked about, is the general trend as these move to the south. We don't have that dynamic help. So there's a lot of features that go into this, helping these storms rotate. And that feature's moved off well to the north. So that's good to see. I think the reason they extended this is these storms have had a history of showing rotation and tornadoes back into Mississippi earlier this evening. They just don't have that same structure. I'll switch back here to the radar, and even just looking at the overall like signature of it, they're much more messy. These returns are very noisy. You look back towards Fayette, Ewan. Sure, there's heavy rain. There's a lot of lightning. There's just not that signature that you look at, the bowing segments. There are some returns that do indicate, hey, we got some pretty high. These storms go well up into the atmosphere, 30,000 feet. And as that comes to the surface, whether it's hail that melts into more rain, there's a lot of mass that comes out of these storms. You can have these brief, strong, gusty winds, and that's what we've certainly seen evolve to. But there's not been any storms rotating here, it seems, in quite some time. Just going to be a noisy morning for many folks here. If you're in the Jasper area, I know I saw somebody on the live stream trying to keep up with these, asking about the Double Springs area. Look okay. If you've asked about Carbon Hill, you're right in the middle of it. Understandably so. If you're at Carbon Hill and you're wondering, man, what's going on here? A lot of really heavy rain, some gusty winds, lots of lightning, but the storm not particularly dangerous here as we move forward. All severe thunderstorm warnings right now. Moving back into central Cullman County, if you're in Good Hope, Hanceville, Holly Pond, Baileyton, the rain is on the way in downtown Cullman, right there along I-65 as well as Highway 31. It looks like we've got some pretty heavy rain there, and it looks like an update from Quinn here. That 2 people hospitalized, multiple trailers damaged in Bear Creek from that potential tornado, and that's what we jumped on here. This was back a good while ago when we had that storm moving through the Bear Creek area, showed that tornado debris signatures. So Stephen Quinn reporting that. If we get him on again, I'm sure he'll continue that report. But just now tuning in, if your weather radio's gone off and you've heard, hey, that tornado watch has been extended, it has. All of our central Alabama counties are involved in that. But right now, let's look at the radar trends. Things have certainly wound down on that front as of right now. We're looking at severe thunderstorm warnings. If you are down in Jefferson or Shelby County and there's some lightning there, there's some rain, that's just rain. That's all we have is some light to moderate rainfall in Hoover, Alabaster, down south towards Calera, over Pell City, St. Clair County, Springville, Trussville area. All is just some light rain. It's out ahead of that line. And I'll tell you this, when you get rain out ahead of the aforementioned line of stronger storms, that stabilizes your atmosphere to the point where once this line moves further to the south, it's now moving into an atmosphere where we don't have that instability. We don't have that warm air available. So we will also see this cut off the energy to these storms moving from Fayette all the way into Cullman. So I really am optimistic on a general weakening trend here. We're seeing several severe thunderstorm warning polygons being trimmed away. And one thing to note here, they have not extended this into the rest of Walker County, not into Jefferson County either as of yet, because these storms have generally shown a weakening trend. Switch back over here to the National Weather Service, just trying to keep up with everything that's coming in here as far as any reports. Again, not seeing anything. The latest report, again, coming from our Stephen Quinn, that says 2 people have been hospitalized and several trailers damaged at Bear Creek from that potential tornado that we had earlier on. Right now, no tornado warnings, no tornadoes at all here, not just in central Alabama, but the state of Alabama. We have some severe thunderstorm warnings. That one in Walker goes until 4:15, so we're coming up on that here. The one in Cullman also until 4:15. Those are the 2 active warnings in the DMA as we speak.
Let's take Wexo 5 real quick. This is an image, Evan, from 5 miles south of Hackleburg. And the person that sent this photograph into me says it's my niece's house. And again, you can see there's some very significant damage here. That is major damage to this. It looks like it might be a mobile home. And I'm getting multiple reports of people that were indeed injured, and we're getting a lot of reports of damage from this tornado in the vicinity of Bear Creek, south of Hackleburg, back over to north of Haleyville in Winston County. And if you watched our coverage, you saw the signature that came through there, and it was obviously, there was obviously a tornado. We had debris being lofted. We knew that. And of course, you hope that it's just out in wooded areas, but people live there, and we knew at some point we would find the damage, and sure enough, we're starting to see reports of that. Let me just say, here's another report. This is from Andy Marbut. He is the chief of the Phil Campbell Rescue Squad, and he reports they are currently assisting Bear Creek Fire with significant tornado damage just south of downtown Bear Creek. So again, thanks to Chief Marbut for giving us that report. So again, from the chief of the Phil Campbell Rescue Squad. They're assisting Bear Creek fire with major tornado damage just south of downtown Bear Creek. And a lot of this damage has occurred in Marion County, south of Hackleburg, just south of Bear Creek in Marion County, then over into Winston County, a little north of Haleyville. And we've had reports of injuries, and Stephen Quinn is just a matter of minutes away from some of the more significant damage up there. And again, we will be hearing from him in a matter of minutes. But let's go back to the radar. And again, the good news is that we're coming up on 4 o'clock. And let me just say this is ABC 3340, WBMA, and we are at the top of the hour. We've been here all night, and we have no tornado warnings, which is good. And I think the overall tornado threat is fading. It's not totally gone away. There might be a tornado warning later this morning, but the odds of that, I think, are fairly low, despite the fact that we do have a tornado watch. But we have a line of strong storms now from Jasper to Cullman, to Lake Gunnersville, up here to Scottsboro. And again, that'll be coming through Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, Anniston, Gadsden within the next 2 hours, most likely in a weakening state with gusty winds and some heavy rain and obviously a lot of lightning. You see 260 lightning strikes over the northern half of the state in the past 10 minutes. And again, let's go to our Jasper Skycam. Evan, let's tell you what you got there in that thing. I bet you it's coming down.
Yeah, right now it's a lot of lightning. Haven't had the core of the heavy rain is not on top of our Skycam just yet, but I've been watching it just out of the corner of my eye. I mean, there's plenty of lightning flashes, and that's been something that's been consistent, and I think that's what's getting a lot of our viewers' attention here is they're saying, hey, man, it is nonstop flashing. Lightning is not a severe weather parameter, but coming from somebody whose house was hit by lightning and caught fire as a kid, I know the dangers of lightning when it comes to thunderstorms. So the core of this coming into the Jasper area, so it's likely a bright and a loud early morning here for a lot of us. And if I zoom in, let's see our lightning counter just in Walker County alone, the last 10 minutes, 44 lightning strikes. So those are not all cloud to ground strikes, but this is what's coming into the Jasper area. So the heaviest rain is up near Marigold as well as Gamble, just to the north of Jasper here. And what we're going to see, as I look at just this radar return here, there's some really heavy rain. There may even be some hail within the storm. It's not reaching the ground. It melts typically as it falls through a warm column. But there's plenty of heavy rain here. And what we're likely seeing is the de-evolution of these storms, much, much weaker here. And I'm continuing to see light rain now stretching from Center, Gadsden, into Ragland, back into Trussville, southern Jefferson, northern Shelby County, all the way down into Bibb County. So these showers that are preceding this line are going to really help immensely weaken this line as it comes through and should further lessen that severe threat here moving forward over the next couple hours.
All right, so it's 4:02 early Saturday morning. I'm James Spann with Evan Chickvara here, and again, we're going to stay with this for a little while longer. We're going to wait on Stephen Quinn to get to some of the more heavily damaged areas. And for those that are just joining us this morning, the most significant damage in the state came up here in parts of Marion County, south of Hackleburg to near Bear Creek, and then north of Haleyville in extreme northwestern Winston County. We've got a lot of damage and reports of some injuries there. And again, Stephen and Bill Castle are up there, and as soon as we get them positioned, we'll go to them when they can safely get video out. But in terms of the big picture, and let me just say it's raining down here along and south of Interstate 5920, Shelby County and Bibb County, nothing severe. This is your main line right here that's north of Birmingham and Anniston and Tuscaloosa. Again, storms extend now from Lake Gunnersville and Scottsboro down through Cullman, Jasper, and Fayette. Within that line, we have multiple severe thunderstorm warnings. No tornado warnings, but severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for northern Walker, for parts of central and eastern Cullman counties, for parts of Marshall, Jackson, and DeKalb counties up here in northeast Alabama. So as the line comes through, you can expect some pretty strong winds, maybe gusting to 50 miles an hour in spots. I've seen no reports of that, but that's certainly a possibility. And there might be some small hail not expected to be a major problem. And this most likely will be near Interstate 59, Gadsden, Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, between 5 and 6 o'clock this morning. This thing has just been taking its time. It's been a very slow go with these. And again, the good news, once this passes, you're done with severe weather. So let's say you're in Double Springs, Haleyville, Hamilton, West Point, you're through with severe weather. You're done with it. And once it goes on to the south, the sky will clear. It's going to be a very nice day today. So, I see Denise is here. You're going to change Ev. Okay, normally when Denise comes in, she wants to change the battery. Denise is our fine audio operator here. So we're going to change Evan first. So again, we are going to stay with us, and again, we're going to get Stephen Quinn here shortly, who is going to be with Bill Castle up in that tornado-damaged area in northeastern Marion, the far northeastern corner near Bear Creek. And again, the tornado damage is concentrated south of Hackleburg, just south of Bear Creek, and north of Haleyville. And again, what's going to happen, the Weather Service will send in a survey team later today to assess the damage. We'll find out the EF scale rating, but there's no doubt it was a tornado because we saw the debris being lofted as it came through there. But again, if you're at Smith Lake, it's noisy. Loud thunder, gusty winds, heavy rain that's falling. And again, that's coming into Jasper. That'll be coming, it's now south of Cullman. The heaviest rain is just south of Cullman, coming down here toward Hanceville, and then on top of Lake Gunnersville. And that'll be just slowly working its way southward. And again, there is technically a tornado watch in effect until 8 o'clock this morning for much of central Alabama. And again, I just think they'll probably let this thing go earlier. Maybe they'll let it go until 8 as a course of least regret, as we often say in this business. But the good news, I think the overall tornado threat is fairly low. And again, not zero. You've got to stay weather aware. You've got to pay attention and be ready to take action in case we have a warning. But I'd say the odds of an additional tornado warning are decreasing as we get through every 15 minutes or so this morning. And again, watching my stuff coming in, Evan, I'm getting a lot of reports of the damage that we're seeing in Bear Creek. Trees down on homes, trees down on cars, mobile homes severely damaged. It's been a rough ride for our friends up there. We're going to find out more here shortly.
Yeah, Bear Creek, that's the second weekend in a row that we've had this. And I'm with you, James. I'm looking at stuff too, whether it's National Weather Service chat, our Slack team, or social media, and everyone is saying that the damage is showing up there in Bear Creek. And that makes sense. It's been a little over an hour now since storms went through there, and that had that tornado debris signature on it. Stephen Quinn is headed in that direction, and we'll wait to see what he's found. But he's reported a couple things for us. Most recently, he said 2 people were hospitalized as a trailer was damaged in the Bear Creek area. I've also seen here that it looks like that the overall path, it went over Highway 13 and County Highway 99. Multiple reports coming in of possible damage. I mean, possible to know. I mean, we send out trained National Weather Service teams. After this, they go and they survey the damage. They're experts on this. They go back and they look and they determine, hey, was this tornado damage? How strong was it? And they'll assess that. So we'll let them handle that. But certainly it looked like we had a tornado debris signature earlier, and those moved on. If you are wondering what we're seeing now, it is much improved from what we had earlier. I'll switch off from this tornado watch and go back to our radar. And I'm very optimistic. They've not extended any of these warnings quite some time. These will go until 4:15. So we're getting towards the very end of these warnings as they're going to cross into Blount County, eventually into central Walker County. Jasper, it seems like you've been on the fringe of these storms for quite some time here without actually bearing the brunt of this line, but that is coming next. And have had no reports yet of anywhere, whether it's a municipal airfield or one of our sky watchers out there, of any strong winds with this. But that is where our threat is pivoted. There's no longer, or there hasn't been, I shouldn't say no longer, there has not been the threat for tornadoes along this line in quite some time. It's been a gusty wind threat. So we'll see if they elect to continue or reissue severe thunderstorm warnings. Right now it's just for Cullman County, including Hanceville, Cullman. Let's see who else is in there. Holly Pond, Baileyton, you're right in it now. It looks like Winston County, you're essentially in the clear. That warning going to be allowed to expire there. Northern Walker County, including Carbon Hill, over to just north of Jasper, just north of Sipsey, is also in that. Fayette, you're clear of any warnings at all. And, we don't have any programming on typically overnight. That's why we're sticking with this for folks who are maybe just waking up and are concerned. They're, hey, it's really loud outside my house. I absolutely hated storms as a kid. So I would be the one tuning in, looking to see, hey, what's the crawl over the top saying? Is it coming from my neighborhood, my house? And the answer right now is no, we don't have any tornadoes out there. We've seen no reports of gusty winds. However, we do have some severe thunderstorm warnings that will continue here for the next about 5 minutes or so for Cullman County as well as Walker County. We'll watch these as they slowly descend into some of our southernmost counties, eventually into Jefferson County. But something that I've seen here that's optimistic or positive is when you get clusters of rain out ahead of the line. So the line in question is the one that you're seeing stretching from Fayette up to Albertville into Cobb County. That is where we've been watching for those gusty wind threats. This is the line that had that tornado on it earlier in the morning. When you get clutter or showers out ahead of the line, it creates what we call a cold pool or cooler air, and that will really hurt the overall structure of this line as it moves further to the south. So just an estimate here, I think as this line does move in that general direction, we will see overall weakening. We've already seen that here over the last hour. Not been any tornado warnings on this, so that is good news. Not to say that we're completely out of the woods on that front, but all trends point in a positive direction. And so far, all the damage reports have been associated with Bear Creek up in Marion County. We have crews out there now. Our own Stephen Quinn, Chief Photog, Bill Castle are headed that direction, and as soon as we get more information on that.
Yeah, can we take their live stream real quick, Dennis? They are in Bear Creek where we've had major damage. Stephen, tell us what you got up there now.
James, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, go.
Yeah, just give us one moment as we pan over here. What you're going to see is some basic damage from siding and that associated with the wind, and some roofing right now. We just spoke to police here. We are in Bear Creek, and this is an area right now that is blocked off here as we're coming through. We're just really south of Bear Creek proper, if you will. And we're looking down. We had been along Yancey Bend Road where we'd seen some damage, and we do know that one of those trailers that we had talked about is over here. This is along County Highway 99 right now that you're looking at as well, where it is essentially blocked off right now. And the reason for that is just because of some down power lines. They actually had a truck that had moved through here and had knocked some of them off. But as I look around, and we're going to get a better shot for you here in just a moment, I'm seeing in the trees the kind of insulation and things that you see when you have significant wind associated with a potential tornado. And as we had told you about earlier, we've also had reports of at least multiple trailers that had been damaged, and moreover 2 people that had been transported to a hospital. Don't know the condition, how bad they were hurt, or if they were merely just being checked up on, but this is what we're dealing with right now. And you have a lot of police out here. You had mentioned that Phil Campbell is out there. We've seen state personnel as well as police from Bear Creek that are out here right now. They're turning people away from this area to get the power lines cleared off so that they can start to get the cleanup crews in here. That's the extent of what we know. I'm going to go talk to some police over here, James. We're going to set up another shot for you and see if we can get you some more information on what's going on over here.
Yeah, just we'll leave that shot up here. I'll give you some supplemental information I'm receiving. We're getting reports that Kith Kitchens, right there on Highway 13, took a hit, and there's been damage. I don't know the extent. We've had reports of injuries on Frank Road. We've had reports of damage along Dime Road, Newburgh Road. These roads are blocked. Reports of severe damage along County Road 99, Chalk Mine Road, and County Road 14 in Bear Creek. And we've currently got folks from fire agencies in Haleyville, Bear Creek, Phil Campbell, Ash Ridge, and Hackleburg all assisting. And again, it seems like it was very significant. We saw the debris signature. We knew that it was bad, and I'm afraid it has caused a lot of damage. And again, we won't know the rating until the Weather Service survey team gets in there, and we don't know exactly how many people have been injured, but obviously where Bill and Stephen are located, you can see that heavy law presence where they are probably trying to just find out if everybody's okay right now. So again, Kith Furniture, the kitchen place right there on Highway 13, we got reports of damage there. So again, apparently a very significant event occurred. And again, we're going to go back with Stephen here in just a second. So let's go back to the radar here. It's 4:14 on Saturday, April 1st. I'm James Spann with Evan Chickvara. And the good news, these storms are slowly weakening with time. And that's the good news. And really, they've just broken apart to the southwest of Fayette, which is great. We still technically have severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for northern Walker and eastern Cullman and parts of Marshall counties here along the line for the possibility of strong wind gusts. But I've not heard of any really strong damaging wind in the last 15 minutes or so. But again, I want to stress we all need to stay weather aware over the next couple of hours. We've got a tornado watch until 8 for the central counties of the state. Yes, we do expect weakening. Do we expect a major tornado problem? No. But listen, if there's a small tornado and that thing gets down for 2 miles and if it goes through your neighborhood, you got a big problem. So we've got to be weather aware and pay close attention for the next couple of hours until these things really fall apart and get to the south of here. But you can see the warnings have now expired for Cullman and Walker. So no warnings in effect for any part of our television market. No tornado warnings, no severe thunderstorm warnings. We have a weakening line of showers and storms through Cullman County and northern Walker and Fayette counties. And yes, they're producing gusty winds, but not to 58 miles an hour. Maybe some small hail, but not 1 inch in diameter. And the only warnings are up here for this upper end of the line for parts of Marshall, DeKalb, and Jackson counties in northeast Alabama, counties served by the National Weather Service in Huntsville. And again, from Birmingham south, we have some rain showers, nothing severe. Showers in parts of East Alabama, and again, nothing severe there. So the trend is very good at this point. And again, we are going to stay in place here for a little bit to kind of cover the damage that has occurred with Stephen and Bill Castle. We've also got Megan Scarano, who's out in this. Megan's been with us in Fayette this morning, and they've been very fortunate there in Fayette County because the storms weaken and they are basically below severe limits. That's a live shot coming from Fayette where it's just raining. That's just good old-fashioned rain. No damaging wind. The lightning output has really decreased a lot. So again, it's certainly good news there, but it's bad news for the storm that came through. And again, the damage is right in through here, where I'm kind of drawing my finger, south of Hackleburg, near Bear Creek, and just north of Haleyville, right in through there. The circulation weakened over here in the western part of Marion County, then got back down. And it's very similar to the situation we had a week ago, where Bear Creek was hit last week by a smaller tornado, but I'm afraid this one was more significant and probably larger. And again, I don't even want to start to guess of any type of EF rating because you've got to do a survey. You've got to look at the damage and see what structures were damaged, what type of damage, how long was the tornado down. We'll find that out later today when Weather Service survey teams are sending folks in there. So again, Evan, I feel pretty good about the rest of the morning. I do note we've still got those warnings in effect up in northeast Alabama, these severe thunderstorm warnings. I feel pretty good about the rest of the morning.
Yeah, overall, we've been watching this, and I think we got Stephen.
Let's go back to Stephen. Stephen, go.
Hey, James, yes, just want to give you an update real quick. We are looking back to give you perspective. This is Highway 13. You had mentioned this before, and I just spoke to some of the sheriff's deputies here in Marion County, and they're asking people to stay away from this area right now. They've got multiple power lines that are down associated with this. They're working to get those fixed. One of their main concerns is once the benefit of daylight comes, this is an area that's heavily used for trucking, and that is a big bypass. Anyone who's familiar with this area knows that about Highway 13. And they are working as hard as they can to try to get this cleared by daylight. But in order to do that, I asked them, and they said the one message they want to pass along is that they're asking people to stay out of this area who may be just kind of coming through here just to sightsee this damage. We'll show it to you, but they're asking everyone else to please stay out of this area right now as they work to get things cleaned up. And just looking at what we are looking at right now, they're obviously going to have their hands full. We do know that at least one of the mobile homes that we had told you had been damaged is back in this area beyond where we can see right now. This is as far as people can go. I mentioned there's a lot of trucks that use this area, and it appears that one of them may have taken out one of these power lines coming through here as we got the wind and the rain associated with what appears to have been a potential tornado in this area. And there's a lot of people out here, even some four-legged friends, kind of surveying the damage right now. You mentioned the furniture store, James, by the way. That's where we are right now, just to pass that along to you. And there are a lot of police out here right now. We did have one guy I overheard saying we're going to need bigger equipment out here. So that's what's going on as we play out this in real time right there, trying to get more equipment that's going to be needed. There's some big trees down there right now that still have to be cleared out from what is going on. Now, in terms of injuries, as I mentioned, there were a couple of people we were told that were hospitalized. I still don't have any update on their conditions. James, you may have a better perspective. I do know that the EMA office is busy right now. Sheriff Kevin Williams, as well as the EMA staff, are in that building right now working. As we pan over here, Bill's going to pan over here and just give you a sense of this is becoming a staging point here quickly, as we see for those first responders that are getting ready to move in here and are busy. And you also see some of the fire trucks and that have been over here moving through. And as we've been making our way eastward, James, you can kind of get a sense of what you had talked about, what we saw on radar, that this really kind of cut a path starting near Hackleburg, going southward and then moving diagonally north and east until it came right here. And we are not far from downtown Bear Creek. And these people here are going to be busy throughout the night trying to clean up.
All right, Stephen, thank you. And again, we will know much more about the injury count and the specific damage as we go through the morning and get some daylight. And we're almost there. It's 4:20. We'll have it soon. But let's go down south. I want to go to Megan Scarano. Megan, again, you're down in Fayette. You kind of came away unscathed in this thing tonight.
Certainly, James. I know people who live here and around this area are happy to hear that. Right now, you just saw that bit of lightning. That's all we've really been seeing for the past 10 or so minutes. We had that really strong band of rain and wind come through here. We've been kind of circling around the Walmart parking lot here in Fayette. We were up on the curb watching the lightning come through on the other end of the parking lot about an hour ago. We were able to see the wind blow some of the tarps and the signs here in the Walmart parking lot during that strong band of wind. And now we've moved to the back of the parking lot, kind of towards the loading docks, where we can see the lightning is further off in the distance, signaling that the storm is moving further away from here. The rain has completely stopped right now, so certainly a lot calmer, certainly like it was around 10 o'clock earlier tonight when it was just a little bit windy here. James?
All right, Meg, well, thanks for your service. You guys can head on back. You're done with it there in Fayette County, so thanks a lot for spending all night working the severe weather event here. So again, there's your clearance. We got Lamar, Marion, Winston counties cleared from the tornado watch, and they'll be clearing the counties from the northwest as the line continues moving to the southeast. Let's go back to the radar, Evan. Let's look at the reflectivity and want to go up here into northern Blunt. Notice the Weather Service talking about some broad rotation up here, so let's take a look at this and just see what they're looking at. Bluntsville is here. This is Holly Pond in Cullman County, and that's what he's looking at here. And this is really mainly a loft, not rooted down at the surface. Broad rotation, and again, this is kind of on the Cullman-Blunt County line. Sneed is right here. Sneed's in Blunt County, and Holly Pond is right here in Cullman County. That's Blunt Springs. That's US 231. This is US 278. And Weather Service is watching that. And again, that's very broad, not really representative of a tornado, but just wanted to show that, and they don't plan on issuing a tornado warning for that. Let's go back to the reflectivity, and again, I tell you what, while we're doing this, let's just take Bill Castle's camera. I don't want Stephen to have to worry about it. We're seeing more of the damage, and this is from Kith Kitchens and the furniture store that's right there on Highway 13, kind of coming into Bear Creek before you get into town and Phillips High School. And again, you can see there's obviously been a lot of damage there. And again, how much, we just don't know that yet. You just can't illuminate everything. But again, there's so many first responders that are in place there. And again, we got different agencies. We have crews in there from Haleyville, Bear Creek, obviously, Phil Campbell, Ash Ridge, and Hackleburg to assist in the efforts to be sure that everybody's okay first. That's what you do first, is be sure that people are okay, and then you have to secure the damaged areas and be sure that your folks don't get in there and start cleaning things up. But again, we've had reports of some injuries on Frank Road, damage on Sherwood Place, Dime Road, Newburgh Road. These roads completely blocked because of downed trees. Damage on County Road 99, Chalk Mine Road, County Road 14, and Bear Creek. And it's just been a rough night. What's that dog eating, Evan?
I don't know.
What's going on here?
It looks like he's getting into a bag of sorts. I'm not sure, but he's not bothered by anything around there.
No, I don't know. But knowing Bill Castle, he might have had dog treats with him.
Probably. Always looking out.
Yeah. If only that dog knew that he was on television right now. Of course, the dog probably doesn't care, but
just wants what's in
looks
that bag.
like he made it through the storm okay.
They're doing fine.
All right. And again, there you can see the law enforcement response. And again, for those just joining us here, an apparent tornado. In fact, we know that it was a tornado that came through parts of Marion and extreme northwestern Winston counties. The tornado damage was most significant near and just south of Bear Creek in Marion County. We've had tornado damage south of Hackleburg in Marion County, north of Haleyville in Winston County. We saw the debris being lofted on radar, very clear TDS, tornado debris signature. And again, we've had reports of some injuries. The extent we don't know, the number we don't know. But obviously in the middle of the night, something like this, it takes a while to get all the information back. But needless to say, it's been a very rough ride, and this is the second consecutive Friday night that Bear Creek's had a tornado. They had to deal with one last week, and they're dealing with this one this week, and this one looks to be more significant than that brief one that touched down there a week ago. And again, Bill Castle and Stephen Quinn are up in that area, and we want to thank them for being up all night with us as well. So we go back to the radar, and again, we're going to hold it here for just a little longer, but we can tell you that we have no warnings in effect here. No warnings at all for our TV market, which means the line of storms coming through Walker, Cullman, Northern Blunt, sub-severe. Winds are under 58 miles an hour. We don't have 1-inch diameter hail. Thunder, lightning, absolutely, but that's not severe criteria. The only severe thunderstorm warnings are up here in the northeastern corner of the state. That would include parts of Marshall, DeKalb, and Jackson counties. But again, Morgan County, you're done. Hartselle, Falkville, Eva, Priceville, you're done with severe weather. It's over for Moulton and Lawrence County. It's over for Hamilton, Winfield. It's over for Winston County. Your severe weather risk is done. The rain's going to be ending soon. And again, the sky will be clearing during the course of the morning, and it's going to be a beautiful day today for the northern half of the state. It will be mostly sunny with highs in the upper 70s and low 80s today. So it looks like Stephen is lined up to go. So Stephen, tell us what you know down there or up there in Marion County.
Yeah, James is trying to pass along as soon as we get information. One thing we do know, the sheriff's deputies here with Marion County who are on the scene are telling us they're going to try to get one lane here open on US Highway 13 to allow that truck traffic to get through here. And one thing we're going to show you here in a little bit, we're going to be able to move through here to the furniture store here, the kitchen furniture store. We were told that the assembly line did suffer some damage back over here. We're going to try to move over here, so if we have time to give you a new vantage point, that's going to take us a minute to tear down and go over there, but we want to show you that. The deputy telling me, in fact, that one of the security guards for the plant was actually here when all of this blew through, but thankfully made it out unscathed from what I'm told. But we did have some people down on some of these roads over here where there was damage, and at least one person had to be taken to the hospital. I've asked, still no update though on any extent of the conditions. I know that's obviously first and foremost with everyone, including our minds, trying to see how many people were hurt. No time frame yet as to how this would be cleared out completely, but again, they're going to try to get one lane of Highway 13 open. With that said, and this is the caveat, they are still asking people to try to stay out of here as they work to clean this up. Obviously, the benefit of daylight will help everyone in this area. But right now, they're going to try to get that open. And as for the dog, I can tell you those were not Bill Castle's treats. There is a lot of insulation and other stuff that's been blown through here. Not the best treat in the world, but, you know, it's a good time to be outside. It feels cooler out here, so I guess you got to enjoy what's in front of you, James.
Absolutely. All right. So again, that's Stephen Quinn. He's up in Bear Creek. Bear Creek is in the northeastern corner of Marion County. So what do you think, Evan?
Pretty broad at this time, and I think this is just obviously what the National Weather Service is looking at. It's the only feature on the map that is showing anything of interest at this time, and we can see this maybe a brief where we see up, but this is higher in the atmosphere too. Keep in mind this is a decent ways away from the Birmingham radar, so you can have rotation aloft within a storm. Doesn't necessarily translate down to the surface and being a tornadic cell. So that's the one they're watching as of now. That's right over 278. It's not even a severe thunderstorm warned storm at this time. So I'll go back to the reflectivity, and like you've said, I'm very optimistic about this. And overall, we don't know if we said it yet, but hats off to the first responders, EMA, everyone that's been out. Immediately after this went through Bear Creek and some other areas. They're out there, and that's not an easy job going in, and especially at night when it's still raining. So a big thanks to them, fire department crews, police officers, everyone else who's out at this time of the morning, because I'm sure this is not what you had on your docket, your list of things to do during the overnight. But overall now we are looking at all of these, at least on your map now, sub-severe. Heavy rain, lots of lightning. I mean, if lightning was a parameter for severe weather, we might hit that. Plenty of lightning strikes, 300 here in central and northern Alabama in the last 10 minutes. So there won't be any shortage of that thunder, that lightning here over the next couple of hours here this morning. But as James mentioned, it'll end up being a nice day. So from the top here, we'll give you a look at the radar loop. And if you're just now joining us, we're really staying on. We're trying to give you information. Stephen Quinn and Bill Castle have been moving into place to try to give us some information firsthand from the Bear Creek area, and we're just staying on here to give you an idea of what's coming through your backyard, your neighborhood, your county. And right now it is nothing turbulent, it is noisy, but no severe thunderstorm warnings. That's a look at the last hour here as these storms gradually progress off to the east and southeast. These are slowly about to move into northern Jefferson County, central Blount County, also into Etowah, soon to be in Calhoun County, stretching from essentially Fort Payne all the way over to Aliceville there in Pickens County. I'll put this back so there's no lapse, and we'll dive into each part of this line. We're seeing some decent showers over near the Pell City area. Again, this is out ahead of what we had called the severe line, but is no longer severe. So some heavy rain from Pell City over to Lincoln. And lots of lightning in there. If you're waking up and you're in Talladega or St. Clair County, you're like, whoa, hey, what's going on at my house? It's nothing severe. We're just looking at thunderstorms, and these have just been loud. Rumblers, as I call them as a kid. My mom told me it was the Angels bowling, and that made it a little bit more bearable to go to sleep at night when you heard these loud booms and cracks and flashes of lightning. But as of now, we've got no severe thunderstorm warnings at this time.
Let's take WEXO 5. Dennis wanted to show this image. This is from a viewer. She said, this is Franks Road in Bear Creek. And she says, if you look in the background, you can see my cousin's overturned mobile home. He was taken by ambulance. Beyond that, they don't have any additional information. And again, it's pretty chaotic. And again, that's the scene up on Franks Road in Bear Creek. And of course, Stephen Quinn and Bill Castle, they have been up there, but that's been obviously the big story for Alabama this morning. The tornado that came through south of Hackleburg, right at Bear Creek, and then north of Haleyville in Winston County a couple of hours ago. So let's go back to the radar. And again, we're going to hold it here for just a little longer. I know that we have no tornado warnings, but the only thing we cut off this hour of the day is the Ginsu knife commercials, or the Pocket Fisherman commercials, or the Vegematic. I really would like, I would love a Pocket Fisherman. You just never know when you have the opportunity. So the deal is we have storms that are not severe this morning. They're noisy and they're aggravating. It's not a pleasant way to wake up on a Saturday morning, but they're lined up from northern Tuscaloosa County through Walker County, Blount, and Marshall. And again, once this passes, you are done with any severe weather threat. This line is slowly, it's going to finally make it down to Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, and Gadsden within the next hour. Certainly by 5:30, it's going to come through in a weakening state, and it's going to keep on sagging to the south. But again, as we speak to you, the better dynamics, the mechanism that makes the air go up, rising air, that's moving north, far north of here. And the air is continuing to stabilize this morning. And those two factors should mean that these storms should continue to slowly weaken. We're fairly confident in that. And I do know there is a tornado watch until 8 o'clock for central Alabama. But again, here's our watch, and you can see that runs all the way down to Randolph County, Tallapoosa, Elmore, Autauga, Dallas, Marengo, and Sumter. But again, I just think the chance of severe weather is low. Not zero, but low. You've got to stay weather aware. You've got to do that. But I feel pretty good about what's going to happen here for the rest of the morning. So again, back to the radar, and again, as we begin to wind this down, we are going to go back to regular programming here shortly. But we just wanted to stay with it for a few more minutes to be sure we're not missing any late news with Bill and Stephen up in Bear Creek with the tornado damage there. But again, I feel good about this, Evan. I feel really good about it. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. As good as I felt about this area of rainfall, since it was back in Mississippi, this cluster of storms was the same system that had those discrete tornadoes in Arkansas and Mississippi and Tennessee earlier in the day, and certainly we were watching those as it unfolded, but we are moving further and further away from the dynamics, the mechanisms that allow these storms to evolve and to rotate. So it certainly looks like it could be a wet morning. If you have plans outside today, I know I was looking at a lot of the community events. We're a week away from Easter weekend, and so a lot of Easter egg hunts are taking place today. By the time we get to mid-morning, we're likely looking at a drying scenario here where the rain will be gone, but sure, the ground could be wet. So if you have plans moving forward and you just happen to be up right now and you're like, what on earth's going on? It is going to clear up later in the day today. As of now, we have no active severe thunderstorm watches. No severe thunderstorm warnings. We do have the tornado watch that is slowly being peeled away from northwest to southeast. It'll be loud at times as we go through the next couple of hours. There'll be some heavy rainfall, certainly. I'm sure you can see that sky cam behind me. That's up in Jasper, where we've got still some rain and some thunderstorms moving through there. And the lightning has just been incredible in some spots. I had a couple messages on my Facebook that said, hey, it's really loud here in the Jasper area. What can we expect for Walker County? And it's heavy rain, folks, and lots of lightning. And certainly that is something that can be very alarming, but these storms have now sunk below severe limits all across central Alabama here. The only warnings that we do have of note are up in the Huntsville market for Marshall and DeKalb counties, but that's about it. So a loud morning, some nature's fireworks. Let's see here, the National Weather Service just essentially confirming that we had these local storm reports up near the Hackleburg area. Structural damage reported along Highway 253. That's right in the middle of that path that we had that tornado debris signature much earlier in the morning. But we will get these reports gradually, especially once the sun comes up, the rain winds down. Had reports of a couple injuries. Stephen Quinn reported that with some of the trailers that were damaged up near Bear Creek. But so far we've heard of nothing further than that, and the signs continue to look more positive, James.
All right, so we're just kind of winding things down here, and again, we're watching all of the sources here before we go back to our regular programming early this morning. And thanks for those that have been up with us all night. Thank you. And again, we're still going to watch this until the watch is canceled for the next couple of hours. But again, the bottom line is we expect a weakening band of showers and storms to come down toward Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, Anniston, Gadsden between now and 6 or 7 o'clock this morning, with some gusty winds, a lot of thunder and lightning, a lot. But the odds of severe weather are low, not zero, but low. And again, once they get south of Interstate 20, the weakening trend will likely continue. There is technically a tornado watch in effect until 8 o'clock, all the way down to Prattville and Wetumpka and York and Livingston and Demopolis and places like that. But again, it's a pretty marginal situation, which is good. Let's quickly take Stephen and Bill's camera just as a voiceover here. Again, they are in the damaged area in Bear Creek, and we're watching them traverse some of the roads here. And we've got emergency responders that have come in from different areas around Bear Creek. You've got some folks there from Haleyville, some folks there from Hackleburg and Ash Ridge. And again, you can see that they are in the process of trying to be sure that everybody's okay. We've had some injuries because of the storm that came through, a tornado late, or I guess it was When did this happen, Evan? I lose track of time. It was early this morning, wasn't it?
I think it was early this morning. I think we'd rolled over into April 1st officially.
So it was a few hours ago. And again, we've got a lot of power outages up there, and it's been a really rough ride. And we will, of course, have a lot of images and video from our crews up there, and we'll post that on abc3340.com and on our social channels as well as we find out additional information. But the good news I can report, we've had no deaths in Alabama this morning, to my knowledge, is at this point. We did have 2 deaths in Wynne, Arkansas yesterday from a violent tornado that came through there. We had some injuries in Covington, Tennessee. We had some injuries in North and West Little Rock, Arkansas, and a lot of damage in those places from some really violent tornadoes. But for Alabama, it's been a pretty stormy morning, but again, it just seems like we've had that one tornado, the one that came right in through here so far, which is certainly a good thing. And again, before we go back, Stephen is going to get a shot of the Kith Furniture plant that is in Bear Creek, just south of Bear Creek. And before we go back to programming, Bill and Stephen, they're going to get a shot of what the plant looks like. A lot of people are asking questions about that, folks that work there and things like that. And again, that will hopefully help folks to kind of see what's happened there. But the weekend's going to be nice. I mean, the sun comes out this morning, and it's going to be upper 80s or upper 70s and low 80s today. Sunday looks beautiful. So unlike the last weekend was the weekend, Evan, that never ended. I mean, it's just like, you think you can take a nap and boom, you got hailers that pop up. And then you think you can take a nap and you got tornadoes that pop up that went on beyond the overnight thing Friday night. So instead of 3 overnighters, like last weekend, we just got 1, and we can handle 1.
Yeah, certainly can handle 1. That was like the front that wouldn't quit. It came south, and then it came back up to the north. And we were talking a little bit, James, but it was just a very bizarre setup. But hey, someone once told me, expect the unexpected, and that's what we had here over the last weekend. This one's a little bit more straightforward. This front moves through here. This line of thunderstorms moves through, and then essentially we're done here. Somebody asking about Pinson. If you're up in the Pinson area, Fultondale, Gardendale, north of Trussville, the line of storms is coming in that general direction. So you might be having an uptick of thunder, of lightning. There's no severe thunderstorm warning with that storm. For those in the Graysville area asking, same deal. You're in northern Jefferson County, and this line is now coming in that general direction. Had someone over in Pell City say, hey, lots of lightning over here. Sure, we had some storms that are just now moving out of the St. Clair County area, but they're also subsevere. Everything here is subsevere. Not to say that it's not inconvenient, but we will later in the morning be able to sound the all clear on even just the rainfall, and things will be looking more optimistic for the daytime hours. Just keeping an eye here on the National Weather Service chat. Have no additional reports of any damage. Again, all those reports are filtering in the Marion, Winston County area in a line essentially from Bear Creek over to Haleyville. And we have a crew on the ground, and we'll bring you more information here as we move forward, James.
Yep. So again, before we go back, we're going to wait on Stephen and Bill to kind of get set up, and we're going to go to them one more time. And we want to thank them for being up with us all night. Listen, we have the easiest job in the world. We sit here in a dry studio where they're out in the field in horrible conditions. And it is so hard doing live television in conditions like that. But they've done a great job for us this morning, both Stephen and Bill, and also Megan. I think Sam's her photographer this morning as well. They're out and both been out in the field all night tonight. So again, we do not expect any additional severe weather. The weekend looks good. The week ahead looks a little unsettled. We've got a big risk defined Tuesday and Tuesday night north and west of Alabama. That could be a pretty big severe weather event. But a ridge might keep us from having a big severe weather problem here Wednesday. But we'll see. Like I always say, we take these things one at a time. So we get past the event this morning, then we can focus on the Tuesday night and Wednesday event as we start to see better modeling on that. But I will tell you, the first week of April is always wild. I think back on this week, I think of April 3rd, 1974, the super outbreak of tornadoes. 148 tornadoes, Alabama to Canada. Horrible night in Alabama. 80 people died that night. A super outbreak. I think back of April 4th, 1987, we had 6 inches of snow on the ground here. We can have some huge snowstorms here the first week in April. I think back of the first week of April 1979, catastrophic river flooding. The rivers were as high as they've ever been. And I could just go on. I think of April 4th, 1977. We had an F5 tornado. Came through North Birmingham, Smithfield Estates, killed 23 people. So there's always some kind of wild weather going on here the first week in April. So you've got to be really careful with any system that comes through this time of the year, because we're getting into the climatological peak of the spring segment of the tornado season here. The tornado season is November through May. But anyway, this stuff is outflow dominant. It's just dominated by outflow and not inflow, and that's great news. And again, it just looks like we're going to be in pretty good shape for the rest of this morning. Again, technically, we have the two warnings up here, or one warning. That's a severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Marshall and DeKalb counties, and that's about it. And again, once the line passes, you're done. No more severe weather for this event, no more severe weather for the weekend. Storm should be in the Birmingham metro about 5:30. The same thing for Tuscaloosa and Gadsden, Anniston, probably 6 to 6:30 this morning. Stephen's saying 2 minutes. I'm getting my text messages from Stephen and Bill. 2 minutes.
Well, you're getting a countdown.
I mean, come on now. We can, listen, we can talk for 2 hours here. That's what we do here. All right, Stephen's up. Let's go to Stephen. What you got?
Hey, James. Yeah, I'm learning a lot about Bear Creek here, including the pronunciation. Apologies to the owners there as we show you Kith Furniture here. And we want to show you, in fact, this back end here to give you a better sense of the damage there to this right off of Highway 13, U.S. Highway 13. And you can see we wanted to give you this vantage point because, as you mentioned, a lot of people work here and know this well. And you see some of the roof damage that was caused. We are now basically behind where we were the last time we joined you, and you can see the damage that was caused. And it's that roof damage in part, along with whatever came before it, that led to some of the insulation that we saw, like snow hanging along the tree line along Highway 13 over there where they are working right now. But we wanted to show you this. We do know some of the people who work there now are at the site, assessing the damage here to the factory. But as you can see there, some roof damage certainly caused by what appears to be, I think, safe to say, James, some form of a tornado that moved through this portion of Bear Creek. As I mentioned, there are a lot of people out there right now who are working to try to clean up. The message we're being told from first responders, if you don't have a reason to be out here right now, please stay off the roads. They're very busy. They are working to try to get more heavy equipment here. That's what it's going to take to clear some of the roads that we're seeing here in this far northeastern part of Marion County that is seeing some damage. I did talk to the EMA as well while we were out here. They do also confirm that there were some houses that were damaged, trailers as well in Hackleburg. We showed you the tree that was down there at the very beginning of this. They do say that there is more extensive damage to some other homes there in that area east of Hackleburg, consistent with that line that we've talked about. So a lot of people in or outside of Hackleburg, and certainly here in Bear Creek, they're going to be cleaning up and are certainly probably waiting for the benefit of sunlight to be able to do that. Meanwhile, here in Bear Creek, as you can see, we have a furniture plant that has sustained some damage, some houses, and of course, we're thinking of the people who had to be hospitalized. And as of right now, again, still no update on their condition, but you certainly hope for the best right now, James.
All right, Stephen, thank you so much for your work tonight, you and Bill. And again, we will know much more about the tornado, the EF scale rating later today when survey teams get in there and once we get some daylight. So again, thanks to our crews out in the field. And again, we're going to wrap up this live coverage this morning. We're going to go back to regular programming, and if by chance we have a tornado warning, not expecting that, but if by chance if we do, we'll be right back on the air with continuous coverage. But the bottom line is a weakening band of showers and storms dropping southward. Should be in Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, Gadsden between now and 5:30 this morning. The risk of severe storms is low, not zero, but low, but still stay weather aware. We'll watch them carefully. We will keep you advised. I'm James Spann with Evan Chickvara live in the ABC 3340 Weather Center.